静かな世界、何を見てたんだろう。優しい思い出塞いだ鍵穴、触れない君だけの色、わがままになって遊びすぎちゃって、どこにもないカラフル捕まえよう。この一瞬が最高のパーティーなんだ。全部ぎゅっと覚えてようよ、眩しい日を根元くせけて、夢だけシェアしてありふれたる好きなものにずっとまみれて、君といた そしてそっと同じ明日へ地図をつなごうね、心揺らして笑顔もシェアしてありふれてる好きなものにずっとまみれて、君といたあの部屋へ天使の海へもう一度飛び込んで宝箱にしちゃおうね、ずっとはしゃいでアンコール重ねてまた新しい景色のもの 静かな世界何を見てたんだろう優しい思い出塞いだ鍵穴触れない君だけの色わがままになって遊びすぎちゃってどこにもないカラフル捕まえようこの一瞬が最高のパーティーなんだ全部キュッと覚えてよ夜まくしい日を根元ふざけて夢だけシェアしてありふれたる好きなものにずっとまみれて君といたあの部屋も電子の海も胸の中詰め込んで宝箱にしまおう根元はしゃいでアンコールないのっておねだりしてとびきりきらめいて歌おう当たり前の結末なんていらないって笑ってた破天荒ばかりでそれでもまっすぐで鈍らない君だけの声迷わず歩いて気づけば遠く同じエンドに連れてってくれるそう思ってたけど昨日の続き知りたかったくだらなくてもちょうどよかった並んでたかったよごちゃつく先まで引き分けのいい今もできない飛び立つ背中追いかけてみた本音を聞かせてただ叶えてみたいからこの一瞬を最高のパーティーにしようそしてそっと同じ明日へ地図をつなごうね心揺らして笑顔もシェアしてありふれてる好きなものにずっとまみれて君といたあの部屋へ天使の海へもう一度飛び込んで宝箱にしちゃおうねずっとはしゃいでアンコール重ねてまた新しい景色の物語を描こう
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Cat Yum Cup. We are back with yet another stream, and we have seen all the qualifiers unfold. Everyone has played their matches, and we are now here to see how everyone did, who's going to be qualifying, and who did not manage to make it into the very bracket stage we will be witnessing in round of 64 here. I'm your commentator, Epic Man 2, and I'm going to be joined none other than Lot this time around. How have you been?
As the commentating representative of the Mappooling team today, I will say that tears have been shed, and so does blood. For once, we are very apologetic about this. However, we are not responsible for any emotional outrages that may have been caused to you. because this is OSU and not a corporate job. Anyways,
Yeah.
the qualifiers results are extremely screwed up. I audibly gasped when I first saw the results. A lot of unfortunate events happened, and I'm pretty sure there were a few players who would have got at least 5 placements higher if not for a singular choke on one of the stages, which just shows how diabolical the pools were for everyone involved. No skill set is left out, even the most niche ones.
Yeah, absolutely. The qualifiers alone across the state stages pretty much has a lot to offer for its runtime. It starts off quite difficult and tricky, however, it does kind of change up the more you go into it, where it's basically the latter stages are a little more weighted than the initial ones. However, it does seem like we have a lot of players that did work their will around what they had been dealt, and there's only really 64 players that did qualify, so I will not keep you for any longer. We have at least 100 players that have played in the qualifiers, and we will be moving on to see who has made it into the bracket stage, starting with our initial batch of players, if we can go into them real quick.
Gamer
Alright, yeah.
Chris, we probably are not a stranger to him, as both the host of this revamped quote-unquote Soundwave Mania series and also a pretty active tournament player. However, he is more known to consistently place very low ranks, which better luck next time.
Yeah, seems like they seem to do better on Phantom Dancer with that C96 there. At least it's not at the very lowest end of the spectrum, as we can see. However, another funny note to add on to that, if we look at our C99 player real quick, we're gonna be seeing that it's literally one of their closer relatives that are literally in the same area as well. If we can go into C99 real quick. It's literally somehow Adrian Lader did not bottom seed in a tournament. What?
Laser did not qualify. I'm in shambles.
What?
Okay, wait. You're right. Adrian Laser did not get last seed for once. Look at that. There are only 2 100th placements. Think about it.
It's actually messed up. How does Asian Laser, like, somehow improve? Like, these are literally still, like, scores that are under at least 500,000. Like, it's literally like every score has been done on, like, halftime or something. But that's pretty much... I don't really have anything else to add on for Asian Laser. Pretty much more better in that Ellen field. We can move on to seed 98 now. Gonna be none other... Then our next player going to be Hassan King Hani. It's going to be fairly consistent the whole way through. Very, really consistent over that Rice category. Albeit seeming a little better when it comes to the early game power, or at least like with that 400k there, 98s all over the board, and then kind of struggles whenever the Ellens are introduced.
Yeah, it seems like their first time playing in a tournament as well, judging from their average global rank. And I hope this has been a fun experience for you. I do expect to see a lot of new faces in Katyam Cup because, well, this is a pretty large-scale tournament. Hopefully this will be a good introduction. Moving on.
Yeah,
we have Uwusagi. Uwusagi, or something like that.
Bro, I knew you were gonna say that, man. Oh my god! What days.
Never commentate Uwus again.
Oh, well, what's this? Anyways, what we can see of this is that they do have pretty consistent performances over in the hybrid category, seeming to struggle a little bit in the Rice. as we can see, but still fairly consistent to a point where we have one of our first glimpses of scores that are at least over 500k. So good job on Usagi for that in particular. Hoping to see some improvement in the future as we can move on to the C96. Gonna be our next player on the board, gonna be none of Osulado.
Well, this is quite the raw skill-oriented player, at least compared to other lower-seeded heaps around here. Look at Fragmented Reality, a 93rd placing. However, on the Ellen side, it is the complete opposite, especially in Stage 4, Phantom Dancer, the most tech coordination-heavy Ellen map of the Mappool, sitting at placement 100th. This kind of archetype will be pretty common, the Rise /Raw skill player, and it will pair pretty well with their opposite LN oriented players. But we shall move on to Seed 95, shall we?
Yeah, indeed. It's going to be a cool dude, man. This player is going to be fairly consistent and overall really strong. We are seeing stronger scores over in the Ellen category as well. And a 94 and a 95 on Phantom Dancer and J1407B as well. That seems like barcode IDs, if anything. And pretty much overall, very consistent performance all the way around. Don't really have much else to say. Seems like another new player, as this is basically just another player that's barely scraping past number 50,000 in terms of the global ranks. So overall, great job for you being able to make it to C95. Hoping to see some improvement in the future as we can move on to our next player. Going to be none other than our C94 player. It's 26k Nikki.
Seems like a pretty Ellen-oriented player. As before, we will have some very common archetypes, and this shall be your Ellen-centric player as seen in their Stage 2 and Stage 4 scores. Summertime Memory being the more shooty hybrid, and Phantom Dancer again being the tech control map. Both of these are the most coordination-heavy maps of the qualifiers Mappool. On the opposite end, we also have Fragmented Reality at 95th placing, the lowest, but not really by much if you can see that the other stages have pretty samey placings, 94 to 95 overall. Very consistent.
Absolutely. So, pretty much took all the words from my mouth. We're going to be moving on to our C93rd player. On that note, going to be none other than Saturdia. So, another relatively new name I haven't heard of. Going to be halving the average rank by quite a bunch, quite a surmountable amount, as we are getting some pretty solid scores on the Rice category now, just being able to almost scrape past the 90 of seeds in that department as well. Seeming to do strongly on that part, however, still struggling on hybrids and LNs, common trend we've been seeing overall. So, fair game that we can see from this player in particular. Commiserations for them to being able to make Seed 93. We can move on to our Seed 92nd player, going to be none other than
Lower. Seems like this is the first player that reached around rank 10,000 globally, and it does reflect into the higher placings. You can see some pretty consistent rankings here and there. I think it's a pretty even distribution from 90th to 94th. A pretty all-rounded player overall, and some expected scores, like how Fragmented Reality have much lower score compared to other stages, being the very physical pick overall, and also CO Stage 1 having the highest score. So it's a pretty typical distribution of an all-rounded player. I really like all-rounded players, so what can I say? I hope to see you better and stronger in next iterations, and maybe other tournaments as well. But we shall move on to Seed 91st of the qualifiers, Gerundio.
Yeah, indeed. Another player I haven't really heard of before, and seems like they're going to be having some more solid scores on the Rise category as well, pushing past seed 90 on each of them. Once again, struggling with Hybrid and LN. That's going to be a common trend with a lot of these players that we have down here. So I think that pretty much summarizes all I really need to say about this player in particular. Overall, good job to this one, as well as, you know, there's still a lot of improvement that we have, but that's pretty much the same for, like, pretty much everyone in the world, so don't feel left out just yet. We'll be moving on to our 90th seed team player. That's going to be just barely scraping it to the ATFC. It's going to be B and F and F. And this is a player that I recognize has played in Abstraction Cup, but didn't qualify there either.
Abstraction Cup just ended, and I am very happy that it ended up in a glass. But hopefully, this will be a memorable second experience for them, providing the Abstraction Cup is their first. 84th and 86th ranks on the 3 later Rise stages is not something to ignore. We are clearly reaching some newer heights, even in the bottom seeds. So expect to see some stronger performance from our lovely players soon.
Absolutely. Moving on to seed 89, we are going to be moving on. We got some more players on here. We're going to be having none other than Mamat, man. It's going to be more fairly kind of scattered scores across the Rise category. However, we can see some very consistent Hybrid and LN scores as well, pushing past 90, and they at least seem a little more balanced than so many other players that we have had earlier on, at least being able to kind of have some more good scores when it comes to these early game maps, kind of struggling in that late game department, but still fairly solid enough to be able to bring themselves to a consistent seeding as well. So that does it for everything I gotta say on this player. We can move on to seed 88, gonna be none other than our next player, Sky the Dum Dum.
Sky the Dum Dum. It's only stage 1 that has a placing below 90. Everything else is good. Seems like Summertime Memory really carried this player at 911k. This might be the first 900k score so far, placing at a solid 74th. Congratulations. However, there is still a lot more to do before we reach the qualifying threshold. The competition is really tough. Moving on to seed 87th, shall we? This is going to be Random 20.
Yep, Youngdon 20 going to be having some more consistent performances, not really having any outlier scores that we've seen from some of these other players, besides maybe that 80 on Phantom Dancer, seeming to be more confident when it comes to the LN coordination overall. So, going to be fairly solid as an all-rounder, I want to say. Maybe not when it comes to some of the more intricate Rise maps that we had in the qualifiers, like your O qualifier, for example. But that's pretty much all I need to say on this player. Good job on them, as per usual. We can move on to seed 86. Going to be none other than Chiriri.
Chiriri. Again, a pretty high stage 2 score at seed 79, but that doesn't mean their other scores are to be left out. Phantom Dancer also at 81, and everything else sits pretty evenly around 85, 86, 88. Pretty consistent so far. Seems like also an LN focused player. Some outliers here and there, of course. However, this kind of LN focused skill set may be pretty beneficial in future tournaments as we shift towards more control and gimmicky focused map rules. Moving on to 85th seed, we have Hanabi RM.
Now, this is a player that I recognize. They have played in Abstraction Cup, however, I do recognize them because I remember I was meant to mentor them and learn in English like a few years ago. So, gonna be having a bit of an outlier performance on Phantom Dancer once again, seed number 70, kind of adjacent to what Sky the Dum Dum got on that one as well. However, pretty much everything seems more or less the same. Maybe a little weaker on the Rise category, but the LNs and Hybrids kind of tell a different story, as per usual. So that does it for all I have to say on Hanabi RN. Great job as per usual. However, there's still some improvements that are yet to be seen, but I definitely believe it's really doable for you. So moving on to seed 84, we're going to be having yet another player. It's going to be Coco Sus.
Coco Sauce. Whoa. that is some very contrasting scores there. Stage 1 at 71st and stage 2 at 80. Wait, no. Stage 7th at 92nd. These two maps are at different ends of the Rice map, one being the easiest tech-heavy map and one being the hardest and mixed raw skill-oriented map. So clearly a very accuracy or probably tech-oriented player, as we can see here. Other stages remain fairly consistent, hovering around the 80 ranges. So that is quite the specialist we have here. Another archetype to introduce in the tournament scene. But moving on to seed 83, we shall have Ryan MC242. Do you recognize this player?
Partially. I think I've seen them over in the Winter WrestleMania Grand Slam tournament or maybe Dynascape Intermediate Cup. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I definitely have seen them play somewhere before. It's at the tip of my tongue, but I can't really make sense of it yet. However, it does seem like they do have some fairly scattered scores all across the board. They have an outlier performance on Fragmented Reality, the endgame Rice pick of this Mappool. But everything seems to be relatively straightforward. No bad scores, but it's still, you know, a lot of improvement that is kind of demanded of them. They still do really good at making sure they could go to a free seed as well. But the competition, once again, is like literally so difficult in this that it's really hard to qualify. As we can tell from our 82nd seed as well, going to be none other than Cookie Boy 123. Also kind of struggling on some of these fills as well, but what'd you look at that Fragmented Reality score? Holy.
Well, an exact opposite of the 84th seed player, I believe. Sharp shooting on Fragmented Reality more than the earlier stages. A complete opposite from the tech accuracy-oriented player we have here. This raw skill-centric skill set might be important for a tournament like Catyum Cup, where the difficulty is pushed to one round above Mania World Cup, and the trend of increasing difficulty has also been reflected in tournaments like the Oceania Long Note Tournament 4, Abstraction Cup, and somewhat the Third Impact as well. So, good job to you, especially on stage 7. Hope to see improvements in the future. We welcome you as always. Moving on to seed 81st, we have Ryu Isaiah.
Indeed, this is going to be the real Isaiah as we are seeing. We have a bit of an outlier performance on seed 72, but arguably seems to be a little more consistent when it comes to some of these Rice maps, as well as we are finally seeing some high scores being accumulated on some of these maps as well. A 900k, very low ones at that on, you know, some of these Rice maps possibly, maybe not seeming the most comfortable on them, or at least when it comes to the easier ones, as they do kind of struggle quite a bit on the Hybrid and LNs. That's kind of expected for a lot of players. So good job to Real Isaiah once again. We can move on to seed 80, keep it quick and snappy. Gonna be Ryan Wong 1216. Now, this is a player that I suddenly recognize for once.
I think a lot of people recognize Ryan Wong. A pretty consistent presence in many tournaments here and there. I remember them most in GVC because I have commentated for a few seed results for the tournament before. However, for this specific tournament, we can see a highlight on stage 4 Phantom Dancer. As always, a pretty consistent palette overall, hovering between the 80s and the 70s. Hello and hope you had fun in Catyum Cup, and hopefully you may stick around to chat with us and maybe watch the Mappool showcases. But continuing at seed 79, we will have switch to R. The I is a 1.
Yes, what you're going to be looking to try and switch up the game over in the qualifiers. We do have very consistent scores all around. We are basically eliminating all the sub 90 scores overall and basically approaching to scores that are very consistently just below the seed 80 range as well. We can see some really strong performances over in the Seoul LN category as well. faring well when it comes to coordination and density as well. Seed 71 and 73 respectively on them. Respectable scores all around. Just gonna need to work on that Rice power as well from what it looks like based on, you know, their general performances on some of these. However, it does seem like they at least do best on O, but that's just because it's like arguably the easiest one. Albeit it's still fairly intricate in its own right. So that's all I gotta say for Switcher on that regard. Switching on to seed 78, we kind of have something else to talk about. We have I Blame Dark, kind of blaming the qualifiers for being a bit difficult for these scores to happen.
Stage 8 though, a 69th, no pun intended, placing. I don't think we have had someone who excelled on stage 8, so this is quite a nice surprise. An LN physical-oriented player we have here. Other seedings, as always, are consistent, but I can see a somewhat roster-oriented palette as seen in maps like Inai Sekai, Fragmented Reality, and Reviver. Also, shoutouts to Nightball.
Bro, imagine being a bot and you still somehow get banned from the Twitch chat. That's got to be like some absolutely insane stunt if I've seen any. As much as our seed 77th player is going to be pulling some stunts to be able to make it this far as well. Going to be having none other than Slop WSS as well. Basically, it's just really close to being able to breach past the 5-digit range as we have a seed 59 score on Inaya Sekai. So that's the first score that's actually able to qualify. However, it's just the general consistency of everything else. I think had there been for maybe more maps like Inai Sekai in particular, where it's just very jump stream oriented at a fast BPM, they could have definitely tried to knock it out the park. But however, does seem like luck is not on their side when it comes to the Mappool itself. But congratulations to them as per usual, making it this far in seed 77. We can move on to our seed 76 player, going to be none other than Neb.
Wow, a much more consistent palette than the other players in this range so far. Again, an LN-oriented player with Summertime Memory and Phantom Dancer, but everything else is just very consistent and clean. Multiple 900k scores as well on the easier maps. So this is quite the commendable tournament skill set you have there. It's basically the same as my skill set, so I do have a bit of a bias towards this. So good job as always. Hoping to see you again. And we shall continue with seed 75. Flying Tilapia. Oh, that is another qualifying performance on stage 6, I believe.
Wow. Yeah, that's the real them, as they say. As unfortunately, I guess when I'm effed up is pretty much a map that's very dump focused. So it makes the most sense that maybe they kind of found their comfort when it comes to this swan song of a map. However, unfortunately, everything else is a little too much for them, especially when it comes to these raw LNs, which are arguably their worst performances over in the qualifiers here. However, these Rice scores are no slouch whatsoever, or at least that when I'm effed up score, being able to qualify at least had it been for maybe more similar maps like this. But that kind of does it for all I gotta say about this player, Flying Tilapia. Well done on your scores as usual. We can move on to seed 74, and this is a player that I'm going to be recognizing. This is going to be Siberian. I remember I faced this guy back in 4DM, and he was literally a god in Rice. What happened? What the heck?
I am not very cultured, so I cannot comment further, but from what I remember, being a Rice-centric player, having this kind of result is pretty unexpected. Either he switched up his skill set, or the Rice competition here is just way too insane. Times have really changed, and the skill players are just going to go up. However, having these LN scores are already commendable by itself. Though, look at the separation between skill sets. We have the LNs at the 60s, the hybrids at 70s, and the Rices at the 80s. Very clean separation.
Indeed, and what's going to be separating this player from the next players is going to have to be none other than our seed 73rd player as well, 10 Trempum, as this is going to have some fairly more consistent rise scores all around. We can definitely say that they have at least a bit of a knack for some of these scores in the earlier game maps that are at least somewhat more tangible. We can see from the Summertime Memory score that they are able to just about scrape 960k on it. Just while this is also fairly Jack-oriented, but they still have a lot of scores here and there that are basically just really close to qualifying. So overall, really good job for Tantrum Pim. As per usual, we can move on to our C70's second player, going to be none other than Mayu Shuna.
I think I recognize this player from a few recent tournaments here and there. The highlight of performance is mainly on Phantom Dancer at 59th, though there are still dips around the mid-game race maps like Inai Sekai and That's the Real Me. Overall, a pretty consistent performance. And we do not mention whatever placing they have on stage A. Let's not talk about it. Anyways, seat 71, please. Clap, clap.
Yep, C71 going to be Pure Sparkles. Yep, so going to be fairly good of a player. We have a qualifying score over an O by Citrus, your qualifier as well. And we are now done with all of the Seed 80 scores that we got on each of the stages. We are now going past Seed 75 on each stage now. And Rice is looking fairly strong for this one player in particular, averaging 66 on that one. And overall, seeming to be more of a Rice player. However, kind of struggling with the hybrids and LNs, but that's pretty much expected, as I've pretty much been saying as per usual. So well done to Pure Sparkles as per usual. As we can move on to Seed 70, we are almost there. We're going to be having yet another player, going to be Araya. This is another name that I recognize.
Yup, and an early game-centric performance here. 58th on Phantom Dancer, 62 on O, and everything else around the 70s. It seems like this would be quite the ideal skill set for early game performance. However, it just falls maybe a bit short of qualifying. Else, it might have been pretty fun to play in the early rounds. Commiserations. But we shall move on to seat 69. Haha, I know, I'm so funny. And this
Nice.
will be Pozar. Yup. Epsilon colon quad PFP as well. Oh my god, and
Yep.
with two funny numbers in Reviver and Phantom Dancer. Okay, but like this is also very consistent performance. Everything is between 64 and 68. A truest all-rounder right here around this range of players. Good job as always, but I am still not going to mention the funny numbers. Anyways,
Yeah. Yeah, kind of still a lot of funny numbers that we gotta mention. However, we will go in between these two funny numbers as well with our 68th seed, gonna be none other than Soulstruck. This is a player that's gonna have even more outlier performances now that we have a seed 44 score on O by Citrus. Your qualifier once again. This is some crazy performances that we're seeing. We are seeing that they are able to qualify entirely on the Rice category, averaging at 55, but hybrids and OLENs have just proven to be a little too much for them, unfortunately. Still great job overall, but now we get to move on to what's going to be a pretty funny number. I do not want to mention it, but our next seeded team, our next seeded player is going to be none other than Lenisday9_alt. I have no idea if this is a workout.
You're
Oh my
super
days.
funny! I love you, Lenny Day9 alt. But anyways,
Wow.
the Rices, once again, the funny number is inevitable on stage 1, always see trust. But we can also see some outlying scores like the stage 2 Summertime Memory at place 42nd. However, the LNs really pulled them down here. Phantom Dancer and J1407B at 72 and 70 respectively. If we chain these together, we have 720, 7-0. Haha, very
Yep.
funny.
This guy has a knack for really funny numbers, as guess what day it is today? It's actually the 6th of July. It's 6-7 day. Happy 6-7, everyone. Makes sense for this guy to be here. They must be so honored to be in this very position, either for good or unfortunate purposes, but that's going to do it for me on this player. Let's move on to Seed 66. Going to be none other than so sick, so sad, not being able to qualify. It's really a saddening moment, considering they have an outlier performance over the LN Density qualifier. See, 48 on that, and overall, seems like anything LN Orient is going to be their stronger suit, especially on Reviver. That C55 play on that is definitely something that would have reckoned a lot of force that we got on this tournament overall, with how chokeable that is.
Yep, but as we inch closer to the qualifying threshold, we now continue with the final player who unfortunately did not qualify. IHNene 0721. A very high global rank of 1015, but whoa! Phantom Dancer at 21st. An absolute complete outlier from any rankings we have seen.
21.
This
Are you serious?
Anything. Not even the better Inai high scores from the Jump Streamy players or whatever we have before. Look at that. Unfortunately, all the other stages are not up to their forte, as they seem to be too much of a specialist to really qualify. Unfortunate series of events, but I hope we can see them qualifying in next iterations of Cat Yum Cup. See you soon. But
indeed,
the celebration shall comes now. From now on out, whoever has your name here, congratulations! You may start to introduce Seat 64. Hiya! Hooray!
Hooray! So yeah, finally we got to pop some of these wine bottles for some of the players that are qualifying here. We're going to be having some really strong Rise performances as well. Very consistent, maybe when it comes more into the early game, and then also when it's most due, the late game stuff that are a little more physical. They seem pretty good on the hybrids as well. Looking at the scores of Sometime Memory and Reviver seem fairly consistent by about a 15,000 point differential, 20,000 point, 25,000, yeah. And yeah, pretty much overall seems a little better when it comes to anything that's pretty much more straightforward, as we can see when it comes to LN density as well. C52 on that, great scores all around. We can move on to C63. Congratulations to Canada for basically being able to scrape by just by a little bit. We can move on to X-Toast 101, the next player in line.
Yep, continuing the trend, we have some pretty scattering scores around. This time, the palette leans towards the right stages. With the exception of Inai Sekai, all other Rise maps placed above seat 60. However, that's not to mention stage 8, which also gets seats 57. Everything else may be a bit low, especially Summertime Memory and Phantom Dancer being the coordination maps of the tournament, but this skill set is hopefully a good basis to survive as a somewhat Rossio-oriented player. Not just Rossio, but just overall all-roundedness in late-stage maps. Hopefully this is a good start for you in Cat Cup bracket stages. But moving on to seat 62, we will have Adonos.
Yeah, Adono is going to be kind of striking some semblance when it comes to the Rice maps as per usual. Fairly consistent when it comes to O and Fragmented Reality. I have a bit of a hunch this is probably going to be a fairly common trend we're seeing throughout various of these maps, but very consistent scores all around this time. The lowest we're seeing is a 66 on Phantom Dancer, not seeming as confident when it comes to perhaps the coordination element of it. However, there's only really 2 scores here that are just under 900k, so being able to just barely qualify is already quite a remark to make in this tournament alone with all the players that we've seen, and that's going to be no different from our next seeded player, 61. Going to be none other than Nixon as well, getting fairly consistent scores on the Rice as well. Very similar to that of Adonos, however, it seems a little more balanced when it comes to hybrids and LNs.
Yeah, definitely a balanced skill set overall. Not really a lot of outliers. At most, you can see stuff like the LN maps and Fragmented Reality having seed 62, but that really isn't a big dip compared to the other stages. I like to Summertime Memory at 51st. Also, some crying emoji, sob emoji, sob emoji.
Indeed. So, yeah. Next player, we got our 60th seeded player. We're going to be having Siyupa as well. We have fairly good scores all around. Going to be kind of breaching close to the lowest end of seed 50. We have a 51st score on the likes of Reviver as well, which is quite surprising because that's meant to be the harder map across these two different hybrids that we got in terms of formula. Overall, fairly balanced player. I don't really have much else to say. Pretty much what we've been seeing. However, it does seem like they kind of struggle with maps like when I'm effed up. Maybe not seeming as confident when it comes to the more dump-oriented maps, if anything. And maybe anything that's like just a lot more on the harder side, especially with Fragmented Reality. But that's going to do it for all I have to say on this player as well. So, moving on, we got 59th player. Going to be none other than Soul Knight, just slashing their way into the tournament after being knighted.
Yup, escaping from the 60th placing boundary, we will have Solar 123 excelling more on the LN maps, consistent performance of hovering around the 40s. Look at that. And the only sub 900k score is on Fragmented Reality, but even then, the rank of that is 61, so it's really not that low. Overall, this is a good performance and is what I expect from a balanced tournament player with a bit of a knack for long note-oriented maps. Good job. And we continue on with the seed 58th player, Nepkin. Okay, I almost misread that as Nepigen, and I was like, what?
Dude, if only. Nah, Nepkin is a completely different entity, as I believe. I mean, I've known this player because I was the one that helped pair them with a team over in Abstraction Cup as well. I know for a fact that they are really strong when it comes to a lens by default, so it's pretty much more or less expected that's going to be their main forte. Seeing that they have some pretty good scores over in the hybrids as well, and we have a bit of an outlier with that Phantom Dancer score right over there at seed number 37 on that, and only seed 45 close by on LN density. So I'd assume they're gonna try their best within the LN maps, but if you're a player that's in the early game and you're facing this guy, watch out for them if it does go down to any of the earlier rounds. And another thing, you gotta watch out for our seed 57th player as well. Gonna be none other than Exemplar. So gonna be featuring even more strong Rice scores all around, as we can see. Holy.
Yeah, this is pretty beneficial if you want to survive early game, because you can see the top scores are mainly on the early game Rice. Oh, Inaisekai, and that's the real me. Other stages are around the average ranking, basically around their seat of 57, except for Phantom Dancer, as always, a very trippy map for Rice-oriented players. But this palette shall let you survive for maybe a round or two with this double elimination tournament format. Good job. Quite the example to set. Ha ha ha, I'm so funny. Anyways, seed 56, shall we? This is Yodi. I think I recognize this player as somewhat an ARG affiliate, and as you can see, pretty contrasting performance between Rice and LN. On one hand, we have very high scores in the Rice department, all around the 30s, with Inaisekai at 45 being the only sub 30s ranking. but the hybrids and Ellens are not as optimistic, hovering around the 60s, with Phantom Dancer even dipping to 76. However, having even a specialty is good enough, especially in early game. So perhaps this player will survive based on Rise picks and hopefully fight on until the tiebreaker as well. But we will continue with the 55th seed player, Scoliosis ET.
Yeah, I recognize the player from a few places. I believe this was originally Jarod. I know them for a fact that they are fairly strong in the Philippines region as well. They kind of struggle when it comes to the earliest game Rice map. However, they have some pretty promising scores outside of that, especially when it comes to when I'm effed up as well. So C44, C31, 54, and then hybrids and Ellens are also very consistent all around. It's really just like, you know, I think had he not messed him up for that one qualifier law, he probably would have gone quite a bit of an insane mid-seed. But I think aside from now, like, pretty straightforward performances we can see as we can move on to seed 54. There's still a lot of competition to be had here. Zequer, I have no idea how to pronounce that. But we have pretty good performances. Still pretty much around the middle. Just balanced everywhere.
Yeah, overall pretty semi-consistent performances from Zequer, I believe. I just reached it at this point, but highlights are on Fragmented Reality and the LN maps. All three of them are around the 40 seeds. Everything else is in the 50s and 60s as usual. So this is pretty consistent performance for someone seed 54. I believe this kind of player will try to focus on the harder picks of the map pool based on Fragmented Reality and maybe some LN maps based on their LN performance as well. But moving on to 53, we have Babel.
Yep. This is the player I also kind of recognize. I know for a fact that they played over in a few tournaments in the past few years, having played back in 2023's Mania World Cup and Alt 4 Forky, and also Speed of Life Free and Abstraction Cup as well. So being being a fairly underrated Ellen player when it comes to France, not being one of the strongest ones, but they're still able to kind of scrape by with some really good scores around when it's most due. At C29 on Summertime Memory, feeling confident when it comes to these Jack Hybrids in the early game, and also just really good balanced scores when it comes to both Fantasy Dancing and the barcode numbers as usual. C33, basically another outlier score, and then watch out for them on LNs, of course. Pretty much exploitable on Rice, but however, it does seem like when it comes to more conventional maps, they seem to at least kind of find their footing again when it comes to those alone. So moving on, good job to Babel as per usual. We have another player in 52. It's literally just how I look right now. Like, just me with my headphones on.
This is true. And also me as well, except that I am trying my hardest to speak and speak very enthusiastically because all these players deserve their own highlight. As for this player, main highlights are on the early stage maps. Across all three categories, they all have their first map around the 30s. However, especially in hybrid, we have a 29th in Reviver as well. Everything else is a bit suboptimal, but that's okay. This all-roundedness can probably help you survive the first round and maybe win the tiebreaker as well, which should be more than enough for a seed 52 player. Congratulations. But anyways, our seed 51st player will be just some guy 97. I know you. My third.
We know you, bro. We literally know you, man. We know what you're made of, as we can see for a fact. You've actually gone kind of balanced from here. These are some pretty good scores all around. C39 on Fragmented Reality, C33 on Summertime Memory as well. Fairly good scores all around, as this is basically proven to be just approaching the stronger side of our mid-seed players as we got them. So yeah, pretty much not much else I gotta say for this player in particular. We can move on for our next player, gonna be none other than Seed 50. Gonna be a Sari fanboy, so also fairly balanced as well. Holy, except from that one stage 1, but that's it.
Yeah, very even. Although we can probably see a bit of a outlier on O by Citrus at 68th. However, everything else seems to be going on a consistent gradient from Rise to LN, where their LN performance is a bit better than Rise, but not really by much. Overall, still pretty all-rounded. Capitalizing on the long note picks might be their strat in round of 64. Continuing on, we will have our 49th place Circix.
Yeah, I think I would say it is Cirques. That Rice is looking quite strong, especially in the early game, being able to basically prove that they are the piggy in the middle with these scores alone. 980Ks all around when it comes to the initial 3 stages of Rice. They kind of falter when it comes to anything else that comes after, especially the high resina lens, but that is just like one thing at the end of the day. When it comes to proving that they are a Rice player, they pretty much should have it all together when it comes to some of these earlier map pools in this tournament alone, especially since this is a 1v1 format. So they're going to be having to fend off all the horrors by themselves, but at the end of the day, C49 is still really good Rice performances. We can see all around with that 34 average. So commiserations to Zerx for this one. We can move on to C48. Going to be none other than Zerg XU.
So this is why the semi-distributed player highlights are on stage 8 and stage... What stage is Inai Sekai again?
Inai Sekai is like stage 5. It's the jump stream qualifier.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, but the highlights are not really making a trend. It's mostly just probably... I'm not even sure anymore. Inai Sekai is jump stream and J14 is mixed physical LN. These two maps don't really have a correlation. Overall, just a very consistent player with very specific strengths and disadvantages. So it's probably best to capitalize on very individual picks, as we have a lot of maps in an 11-12 map in round 64. But our seed 47 seed to continue on is going to be Jose. Very high average rank. Thank you, Osumania 4K LN PP farm.
Indeed, Jose is yet another player that I seem to recognize. I remember for a fact that I have seen them over in LN4 and Abstraction Cup, and despite being on the lower end when it comes to some of these performances, they still pack a punch with a lot of these maps. So, you know, it's pretty much serves the point that they are like really well balanced. Maybe when it comes to these LNs, because holy damn, that LN score and also the hybrids as well, kind of stronger more on that category than the Rise. But that's pretty much it from this player.
Side tangent. This skill set might be good for LN PP farming. Like, you probably have realized that all the PP maps of recent are very LN density, physical centric, and this 29th place on J14 definitely reflects that. But we shall move on to 46th seed of player Renberg. Reviver is there. No, Inai Sekai actually. Inai Sekai, Fragmented Reality, and then Reviver. It seems like this player is more geared towards conventional Rice skill sets. But there's also Reviver at 38th. This might be related to their Inai Sekai score, because both maps are pretty jump streamy, but overall it's a pretty consistent performance. Maybe a small drop on LN, but not really by much. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses after all.
Absolutely, Renberg, yet another one of those players that seems pretty good, especially when it comes to some of the easier maps we got, or at least I think it's just a matter of if they're more conventional, then they'll kind of do better at them by default, especially as we can see from Inai Sekai basically peaking out there at seed 30 alongside some fairly consistent scores on Fragmented Reality. But that's going to be it for me on this player. Going to be seed 46. We can move on to seed 45. Going to be a player I actually recognize. This is going to be one of our few Argentinian players. We got Limber on board. Going to be fairly strong when it comes to Rise, especially in the harder side of it. Seed 26 of Fragmented Reality. And overall, just a little more consistent here and there. However, scores are fairly scattered between 26 and 62 of seedings. Damn.
Yeah, congratulations for our Argentinian representation in Katyam Cup. I hope you can make your country proud. But we continue on with our 44th seed player, Light Speedfall. Looking at these scores, I would not say they're speed-oriented per se, because Reviver and Phantom Dancer are pretty LN-centric maps, which are also their higher scores of the qualifiers. Overall, an LN-centric performance, especially on Phantom Dancer, the Rises have a few dips here and there, especially stage 1, but it really is just another case of a mildly LN-oriented player.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. C43, so shall we?
Yep, seed 43 going to be moving on. Going to have Icky, 1 key on board here. Seed 14 on Inai Sekai. Okay, this guy is a literal jump stream main. I think if you give this guy like anything remotely conventional like jump stream or core jack, this guy's literally gonna eat you up on that. Watch out for this guy on those as usual. The Rise overall is looking really consistent. Maybe not as much when it comes to less conventional dump-oriented ones, but if it gets remotely physical or like just anything that literally requires you to be a literal machine, he's got it down. They've got it down. Kind of struggles more when it comes to hybrid and lens, but as usual, it's just expected. Like, everyone is just gonna like struggle on that one as well, but that's a crazy Rise 2 score that we got on board here, as this is our gonna be 43rd player. We can move on to 42, gonna be Yee Dino Bro.
Yeah, hybrids and LNs are, again, their stronger fortes, especially Phantom Dancer. I believe the last player I commentated, Seed 44, are also the strongest in this map as well. And hybrids come next around the lower 30s, and then J14, and finally the Rice picks. However, this is pretty consistent already. There should be a chance to win in every map. Just pray that your opponent drops a miss or two and you do not. Continuing, at seed 41, we have the next player, LS Nemesis. Hello, Lettuce Squad. What is that summertime memory?
Oh, wait, hang on. Wait. Summertime memory? 36? 975?
No,
Okay.
I think the streamer accidentally toggled the 40th seed player, so there might be some mishaps here. Whoops. So this is our true 41st seed player, ISCZ, however you want to read their name.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, some more scattered scores here and there. However, it seems like as soon as you start to ignore the Rise, or at least the early game Rise of anything, assuming the Ghost of O literally just transfer over into the bracket stage, pretty much everything else seems really consistent, especially for the hybrids as well. Summertime Memory and Reviver pretty much around the same margin, only 8,000 points of a differential that separates these two scores. And yeah, good score overall as well on Rise 3 as well. That does it for me on this player. We can move on to seed 40, and okay, this was a bit of a surprise to me. We got Nemesis in seed 40 somehow.
It's not just stage 2, but also look at that stage 6 score, 12, and then 15 on Summertime Memory. Very clear specialization here. Please do not pick shooty hybrids for when you go against Nemesis, because this is diabolical for seed 40. WLS representation, and also somewhat of a quote-unquote sandbag as well. I mean, this set of scores are definitely livable for sure. You have some sure shots, you have some average, probably even scores, and maybe some of your weaknesses, but you can just ban your weaknesses and pray that you win on the other maps you're strong at.
Absolutely. I mean, being one of the forefront censors of the Canadian scene when it comes to players, Nemesis is definitely one that proves to be a pretty contingent foe when it comes to a lot of these maps, especially when it comes to stuff like Summertime Memory or when I'm effed up. So I think any maps remotely similar to these are definitely going to prove as potential weak spots for a lot of players in the early game, potentially, or perhaps in the mid game where they may be able to shine a little brighter, but I think that's a conversation for another day as we got more players to round up here. We have seed 39 going to be none other than ERDFS. This feels like a acronym, but I have no idea what exactly it could be.
I don't know what acronym it might be, however, their United States high score is definitely not to be reduced. Look at that 21st. I think we are seeing a trend of United States High being a common top score for a lot of mid-seed players. However, there's also That's the Real Me following on quite nicely at 26 as well. Everything else is quite even, hovering around the low 30s and high 40s, which is pretty equal to their seeding of 39. J14 might be a bit off a dip, but it's okay. I don't think the difficulty of this map is going to be matched in the first 3 rounds. This map is very, very hard.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much solid scores when it comes to some of the more conventional picks as well, especially on and effed up, so would pretty much expect this player to do quite good when it comes to maybe the mid game when these maps are kind of just thrown out and just basically accelerating sort of difficulty as we move on to F38, accelerating upon the seedings. We have another play going to be another Mixer with some more fairly consistent rise scores as well, peaking C29 on the earliest game pick in the entire qualifiers here.
Rice at the top, then hybrids, then LNs. A pretty familiar skill set distribution. Although I think there are some pretty clear discrepancies in the hybrids. Summertime Memory at 35 and Reviver at 49, which I think kind of represents the two sides of their ranks. Summertime Memory being around the 30s like their Rice, and Reviver at 49 like around their LNs, which is a pretty interesting distribution.
Indeed.
Moving on to our 37th seed, we will have Card with 2 Ds.
Yeah, Card pretty much played their cards when it came to the qualifiers. We can see from the Rise category alone, now we have 2 scores that peak above seed 30 in that regard as well. 23 and 28 for Sage, for Rice's 1 and 4 respectively. And as again, when I'm effed up, kind of in the middle as it looks like, with hybrids kind of being around C40. However, it seems like their weakest link is basically on the raw LN aspects of difficulty. However, that's only just one field at the end. Seems like that's probably what brought down their seats to kind of go at this marker in particular. But overall, really strong when it comes to Rice overall. I would imagine they should be able to provide some pretty good performances over in the early game as per usual. As we move on to seed 36, we got yet some more players on board. We have Doge, the Doge 25.
Yeah, another Rice-centric player. However, we can see that their hybrid performance is actually on the lower side compared to their LNs. So it seems like we finally have a player who gets kind of screwed up on the hybrids for some reason. However, it does not mean they are too bad at it. Really, it's not that far away compared to their LNs, all around the 4D rankings. However, for this skill set, picking rice should be their recommended strategy. I mean, there are a lot of rice picks in your usual map pools after all, so this skill set should be fairly survivable.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, especially when it comes to this player in particular, it seems like Rice 1 and Rice 4 are also fairly strong as well in general. I think the weakest link is pretty much going to be on the hybrids overall with summertime memory, but I think that's just because of the nature of Jack hybrids in general. When, you know, when you're thrown into a lot of shield patterns, it's only natural that a lot of players are going to really start struggling on that overall, but you know, it's only one thing that you're really going to start worrying about in the mid-game onwards. So good job with Doja, though, 25 for being able to make it to C36. We can move on to C35. We got none other than Awoa's Pro. We have some scattered performances. Once again, we literally have a score that barely qualifies on summertime memory here. Somehow.
Yeah, I think I recognize this name somewhere. I am not sure. However, these are pretty uneven scores, even within the same category. In Rice, it hovers between 27 and 46 on very polar opposites. Fragmented Reality represents the more mixed and transition heavy skill set. Inai Sekai is more generic, so these opposites kind of make sense. Then Hybrids, Summertime Memory at 64, while Reviver is at 30, even though technically Stage 2 is easier raw skill wise than the L1s. Phantom Dancer having a lower placement compared to J14. Weirdly enough, Phantom Dancer and Summertime Memory, actually I think they make sense. These two maps are fairly coordination oriented after all, but I really don't know how to describe this skill set. It just is a lot of like individual advantages here and there, but that shall be it for our 35th seed, and our 34th seed will be Spa again.
I am not gonna confuse this player with Demi Fiend, bro. Anyways, yeah, pretty strong player as we can see when being able to qualify just close to the absolute middle of these players, as they're gonna be peaking at 25th and 23rd in the middle of the Rices. See, 25 and 23rd on Inai Sekai and when I'm effed up respectively. Kind of struggles more when it comes to the LNs when they're absolutely raw. I mean, maybe unless it's, you know, something like Phantom Dancer where it's like a lot more coordination oriented, because I would imagine stuff like the LN Density Qualifier or any LN Density map in general is probably going to be their worst taste of medicine, but that's only just one thing at the end of the day. Overall, pretty good performances overall, so yeah. Yep.
Why is he bald? Does he have cancer? Final stage cancer? When you search, if I cough, what condition is it? Google will say that you have final stage cancer because that's how Google is. I love AIs. Anyways,
oh, wow.
Our 33rd seed player, clap, shall be Kloofy. Very high scores on the hybrids and LNs. There's also stage 1, so this is mainly an LN-centric skill set. Mostly early and mid-game, but also a knack for tech maps as well. Though we can see a pretty slow decline as we move up on the Rice physicality, capping off at 52nd on Fragmented Reality. These are very high scores for sure, but as always, stage 7 is way too difficult for many players. But this is very good for sure. At seed 33, you already have so many specialty skill sets that can really guarantee a win against your opponent. And their opponent is right next. Our 32nd seed player, Jersey Homely HD.
Okay, damn, their profile picture is, okay. I'm gonna have a fun time in bed after that. Anyways, seems like they have some outlier scores when it comes to the LNs. C2922 on the LNs in particular, and also C28 on Summertime Memory, alongside when I'm effed up, literally C28. So overall, they do have a knack for consistency, as we can see. There's a few scores that are at least just over the C40 mark, especially as we can see, it's mostly in the Rise category. So I'm assuming this is one of those players that kind of feels more kind of in their own zone when it comes to picks that are just less physical overall and more technically demanding. So that's kind of what I would imagine is like the case for this player in particular, especially when we go into the early game where, you know, as you mentioned, as you alluded to, they're gonna have to face Cliffy over here, who's also fairly strong when it comes to Rice accuracy, if I remember correctly. Moving on, we have C31. Congratulations to Holy HD for making it here. We got Hishitaro as right after them.
Yeah, very high score on Summertime Memory, and Reviver also. I think this player will be very strong on hybrids, which is a pretty niche skill set when most players are either Rice or LN centric instead of hybrid. So they have a pretty special kind of good advantageous skill set on their own. LNs are also good as well at 23rd and 27. That should be good to conquer the LN side of things. The Rices, however, are below 31st, which is pretty dangerous. So they are probably best off banning one of the Rice maps. However, I hope this player will perform well against whoever their opponent is, utilizing their hybrid and LN specialties. But continuing on, at seat 30, we will have Duck Kiss.
Wow.
I know you. I will remember your name. I will remember. Forever.
This is the point where our players from this point onward are going to get a little spicier bit by bit. So struggling a little bit when it comes to LN coordination. They do manage to make up for it with some immaculate seed 13 and 16 scores on Iniseka and Fragmented Reality. Maybe it's even better when it comes to Rise physicality alone, where that's basically where they're essentially at their peak. But something must have happened on that when I'm effed up score to be for it to even be able to plummet this low on the Rise category alone. Maybe it's just the nature of some of these more conventional and lighter picks overall that can be a little difficult, especially when they're fairly control-oriented, like those two maps are in particular. But overall, it seems like a fairly balanced player as well. I know for a fact Duckies has been in a few turns, especially in the Malaysian Nationals 4th edition from 2 years ago. As far as I recall, they were a fairly strong player in that one. So being able to literally land right in the mid seats for this turn is definitely going to send a bit of a statement, as we have our C29th player joining the fray as well. It's another strong player. It's going to be lasting diarrhea, leaving a lasting impression on yet another turn that's to come with that C9 score on Summertime Memory. What are you doing?
Also J14 at 10th place as well. I'd expect nothing less from you. I have seen you in mapping discussions and also just a few tournaments in general, and this is just insane, but I totally think it's deserved. This training is going to strike intense match with players on the LN side of things. Look at that, great job. However, you really need to be careful with your Rices though. Do use your bandlings here and there. But this should be enough to secure a few scores for the LN department before going into the tiebreaker. And pray that the tiebreaker is shooting enough to utilize their absolute Summertime Memory prowess. Good job.
Good job indeed.
Yeah. Anyways, our 28th player will be Rakumi.
Oh,
a familiar
wow.
face. Hello. You may introduce them now.
Yeah, Rakumi is one of those players that's like literally been up and coming for quite some time, especially in their performances over in Abstraction Cup, for example. I've seen him in the early game. I've seen for a fact that this guy knows how to demolish forces when when the cards are dealt to them, literally dominating the hybrids and also dominating the early game. This is an absolute threat that I think players should be seething at when it comes to the RO64 overall. And their LN performances are also basically just about as dangerous as them. Somehow, the only outliers on the opposite end in terms of just somehow these scores just being very low is literally on Iniseka and Fragmented Reality, which is messed up to think about, because I think had it been for those two maps in particular being at such a high standard, they could have definitely gone like maybe top 20 or something. So the fact that they're only C28 with those two maps intact at such a low seed is definitely gonna adjust everyone for when it comes to this RO64 in terms of how the seedings will be managed. But overall, strong performances. Can't wait to see how they're going to be doing in this tournament once again, as we got more players to talk about. C27 bringing on its Mania Degen God.
Absolutely not degenerate scores at all at Reviver and Phantom Dancer. First we have a shooty hybrid specialist, and now we have a streamy hybrid specialist. And not only that, Phantom Dancer as well. The trickiest map of the entire map pool, and they just clocked all the so many players in this department. There's also J14 at 19th as well. On the other maps, we also have Iniseka sitting at 24th, which is pretty apt for their seedings. However, they should be more careful with their other maps, sitting below their seed, which is a pretty dangerous territory especially in the early games. Look at 56th, not a good sign. Probably best to ban whatever Rice Tech maps there is. But this very excellent performance shall be a threatening presence for their opponents, especially in the early game. And we shall move on to the 26th seed player, Girl Pop.
Indeed. So this is a player that I actually don't even recognize. This is my first time actually hearing about Girl Pop as a player, but as I can see here, seed 11 on O is the first thing I see. As soon as I literally swipe over to see what their scores are on this one, it seems like overall they kind of have some pretty scattered scores when it comes to a variety of maps, more so when it comes to, I suppose, the hybrids and OLENs, but I think it's just a matter of like, maybe they just deal with some of the hybrids and OLENs differently in the earlier game, or at least like if they're kind of just less on the conventional side. But then again, I have no idea for myself. And Iniseka and when I'm effed up pretty much spell that there are some faults that you can probably garner from their scores alone in terms of performance. But overall, very consistent player, as we can see. Even if it does come down to the fact that we just have a lot of players that are going to be seeding around this area from here on out. 26 seed, and we have 25 more players on here, as well as our 25th player on this board is going to be none of our 25 player is going to be Combo Gaming. Yeah.
I'm not sure whether they successfully held their combo in these maps, considering how chokeable they are. However, this consistent performance should be enough to last them a round or two without losing. Very, very consistent, especially as an early game Rice player, in my opinion. However, I think their Rice is just consistent overall. Their hybrids and L1s are a bit weaker, but it's definitely not too much of a disadvantage. Especially considering Summertime Memory is literally seed 19th. Very solid. And we still have quite a lot of players to cover, so we shall move on to seed 24th of Elric. 4 Cs. So maybe I should extend the C a bit. Eliku, maybe?
Elic. Yeah, I mean, I think Elic works just as fine as well, as this is yet another player that pretty much most players would have probably come to know at this point. I mean, pretty much really strong, consistent scores all around, especially with 16 and 17 on O and Fragmented Reality as well. Fairly balanced when it comes to, I guess, some of these Rice picks alone. And then we also have the hybrids and LNs, which I know for a fact that they know how to work their will within. 24, 26, 24, 25. Very consistent all around. They're going to be quite the force when it comes to the mid game I would want to assume. Maybe it's going to be a little bit of a different matter when it comes to some of the more role kind of rice maps that we have on board. But even then, these are 980Ks that we're talking about on stuff like Inai Sekai and When I'm Effed Up. So only one way to find out, as this is yet another all-rounder that we got in the bracket as well as our 23rd seeded player, which is yet another player I actually recognize. So moving on, we have got BC1C19. And boy, would you look at that Rise category. It's so much more consistent than everyone else's so far. Damn, okay.
Hello Việt Nam representative. Hơi đồng bào của chúng ta, non sông Việt Nam của chúng ta. Anyways, yeah, as said, the Rise performance is very, very consistent. Basically, no holes to be patched, except for maybe late game, but that is for future BC1 to train and skill boost. That doesn't mean their hybrids and LNs are very far behind, however. Summertime Memory at 23rd and Phantom Dancer at 22 are all very good, just a bit behind Fragmented Reality. The main issues may lie on physical LN picks, but again, that's for future BC1 to skill boost and probably smash the players from here on out. This is a very good prototype for the early games, and it leaves a lot of room for improvement in the late games as well, considering their average rank does suggest immense potential for improvement. So, hope you go far as our Vietnam representation. I love you.
Indeed, always love to see the Vietnamese representation in tournaments such as these, as once again, this is a tournament that pretty much goes international, as we have our 22nd player as well, 22nd seed, going to be another player that I don't seem to recognize. They have a perfect 777 in average rank. It's going to be none other than Cycle 1264. And okay, seed number 6 on Fragmented Reality. This is a late game Rice player we're talking about potentially.
What is that score on Inai Sekai versus Fragmented Reality? This can't be their actual performance. This is definitely a choked score. Fragmented Reality is just much, much harder in terms of chokeability and technicality and physicality as well, like in every aspect. So it's just unfortunate that they got pulled down by some of these misses. However, the hybrids and LN counterparts are pretty concerning, especially in Summertime Memory, the early game shooty hybrid. There might be room for improvement here, but that's okay. We can just pray that you can ban such picks and probably live comfortably on the Rice maps. Just crazy performance overall.
Absolutely. So moving on, we got more teams, more players to talk about. We got Carlotta Montini in C21. We're going to be having some more consistent scores all around. Maybe, I mean, there is a bit of an outlier with that Summertime Memory score at seed 41 and some few scattered scores here and there, especially with that 29 on Inai Sekai. Maybe not even covered when it comes to fast jump stream, or at least trying to be able to act it as best as you humanly can. But overall, this is a fairly consistent player that we are talking about here once again. So pretty much one of those jack of all trades, master of none type of players I feel like I want to assume this is. Because like the highest score that I could see of them right here is that 989K on the likes of When I'm Effed Up. And that's only somehow just barely able to scrape top 20 on that pick alone. But overall, fairly strong player, as we can see. Carlotta Montini gonna probably destroy a lot of players, and honestly, I would imagine that they should be very well-rounded when it comes to anything that's just outside of hybrids that are just very intricate to hit. Moving on to C20, we've got, I think, another player that I think everyone's gonna be waiting for at this point. We got Ellis Bitter, somehow just barely making it to the top 20. Welcome.
What? There's no way. What?
Yep. You heard it.
On a serious note, specialties on Fragmented Reality, O, and the LN maps. However, a big fatal drop on Reviver. Else, I think all the other maps are pretty even and good. Definitely survivable for 2 rounds without chokes or whatever tragedies went on in Reviver. 959 is definitely not a mid score, considering they got 980 on J14 and 983 on Fragmented Reality, the 2 most physical picks. This is just unfortunate, but there are a lot of unfortunate events in this qualifier's results, so I do not like the West. This is just a bit funny, but as we move on, as we escape the 1B seed, we shall move on to our 19th player, Unstabilism.
Yeah, so anti-disestablishmentarianism is pretty much going to be one of those players which are fairly bad when it comes to Rice. Maybe not in the late game with Fragment Reality right here, but overall seems to pack a punch when it comes to the early game and anything that's just remotely conventional. I think this is another one of those players that's going to look to be very strong over in the early to mid game when it comes to the various matches that they will have to play in this tournament, especially seeing that performances carry on over into the hybrid category just a little bit, going into summertime memory and also Reviver, where you have 16 and 21, literally only a 9,000 score difference between these 2 maps in particular, which is honestly quite good for a start. It's really just the LN where they seem to be struggling a little bit, but overall, very balanced player when it comes to anything outside of that. I definitely imagine a variety of players would pretty much struggle when it comes to at least facing this guy on Rice, but you know, I'm not one to say how everyone's going to be doing against this guy. Just wait until, like, later. And I guess we can keep the chit-chat for later, as we still got more players to talk about. We have seed number 18. We got Yuri Feet. Nice name, bro.
This is going to really activate people's neurons. But
bro, of course there's only one way. There's only one way people would literally like keep engaging with us. We literally like need to keep our players focusing. Yes, we have Yuri Feet. We have seed 11 on When I'm Effed Up. And seed 13 on the Ellen Density. Just about.
Yeah, these scores really activate my neurons instead of Yuri body features, and definitely not their 690 average rank. I think these scores are pretty, I would say they have their own specialties here and there, but aside from that, it's a pretty consistent performance overall. Absolutely. I would say their opponents should be careful on more abstract picks, because I noticed that Tatsumi and J14 are all pretty dump-centric picks. Well, they're late game, so who knows? Maybe their early game performance on the dump picks will be decided when the match time actually comes. But for now, we are going to skip the rainbow a bit and move on to the 17th seed of Senku, a familiar face in tournaments. Definitely a D-ranker for sure.
Yeah, this guy is not what they suggest. I mean, C17 is kind of underselling it a little bit, but I know for a fact that they are strong when it comes to hybrids and LNs. Just look at that. C12 on Reviver, 14 and 15 on both LN qualifiers respectively. You cannot go wrong with that. And also C10 on Inai Sekai. This guy knows how to pack a punch when it comes to anything that's remotely conventional. I think it kind of starts to falter a bit when it comes to anything that's a little more on the technical side. But honestly, I could be wrong. This guy knows how to pack a punch with a lot of these kinds of maps overall. And I've definitely seen it in many turns that I've seen them playing before. I think maybe an SSR and both Abstraction Cup as well, for example, just to name a few. They've probably been in a lot more turns than that, as they are one of the few players that kind of sport some of the strongest forces when it comes to Switzerland as a whole. If that's where they're from, right? Switzerland?
Yeah. Let me check.
Bro, my voice is genuinely so dead.
Yeah, Switzerland. I think
my days.
For me, it's less of my voice, but it's more so that I'm tripping up linguistically. I think my muscles throats are strained, and it's taking a lot of stamina to articulate words. And I
Bro,
might be skipping a
same.
bit, so I apologize to the players beforehand if it feels like I'm speaking too fast or I'm skipping some of your important features. But it is pretty late. This seating review has been going on for an hour and 30 minutes by now. But anyways, we shall move on to the seed 16s. Those who are absolutely comfortable for the first 2 rounds. We have Oyama Mahiro.
Oh, dude, what do you mean? Seed 16 with what? A top 5 score on Reviver, dude. Okay, you can never escape the sandbagging allegation for this term. What the hell is this?
This is just the ultimate LN player. But for now, their seed 4 on Reviver is going to be the highlight. But not just that, there's also seed 6 on Rice. So this is not just an LN player, but also an early game player. This guy's definitely winning RO64. You better sweep, please.
I mean, there's only one way to find out. Like,
yeah,
bro, I have no idea how the freaking weighting that all the lower seeded scores must have given this guy to even bring him down here. Like, what even happened when I'm effed up? Like, the chokes on that just seem so uncharacteristic.
My husband's map. I think I would be the one to get those scores because I am exceedingly weak at Court Jack, and I'm also pretty good at LN, so yeah, these seems like my scores. Anyways, my encounter with this player during Squid Games is absolutely memorable. They almost outshine me on everything, but I think I barely clutch on because I nipped the rice picks and they just ran out of physicality towards the tiebreaker. But I think their skill set has drastically improved and they just sharpshoot for the LNs now. So, hello, welcome.
Indeed. So yeah, once again, Oyama Mahiro basically just really close to seed 15 or the top 15 in seedings, as they are pretty much going to secure themselves in a fairly comfortable position when it comes to the round 64 as well. So moving on, we can finally go down to our top 15 now that we've narrowed it down into the seeding. So seed 15, your player in this tournament will be none other than Ella's Roby. This is a really strong Rice player. Okay, sure, all right. Right,
Definitely
okay.
missed once in O. Definitely. I know many top players missed stage 1.
This guy really wasn't all when it comes to these Rice maps, that's for sure. They kind of falter a bit when it comes to hybrids and LNs, but I think that's just because these maps are just really hard to play in general. Maybe this guy kind of has a bit of a weak spot for when it comes to having to hit jacks in positions that are kind of a little more uncomfortable, but the fact that we have a player that's literally able to destroy Rice, this is literally average number 3 in seedings for Rice. Well, whereas everything else is 30 and 28. What?
Red team, bad hybrid 2.
Brav, that's insane.
Yeah.
Alright, look out for this guy in the early game. This guy knows how to destroy you on Rice, so watch out for this guy. As they're gonna have to watch out for the next guy as well. Look, Shun Osu at seed 14. It's gonna be some more scattered performances, but we see a bit of a high score on Reviver as well. Seed 7 on that and seed 8 on Inai Sekai. These are some fairly scattered scores, I must say. Holy.
I feel like this might be a pretty good player, but unfortunately choked on a lot of maps. These scores are pretty uneven, and they don't really follow a trend again, which I think is pretty common for players above seed 16th, because all the maps are just choke bait, especially when you're too warmed up and you lose your finger control. But I am not one to really say how you performed. I'm only here to talk about your objective performance. And we can see that their specialty is hybrids, but also jump streams. And there might have been a bit of an oopsies in the most awkward Rice tech map ever in history, all by Citrus. But overall, everything else is fairly consistent and characteristics of their seed. Oh my god, my
Yeah.
pronunciation is dying. Help.
Nah, it's fine, honestly. I get how it feels. It's just hard, like, looking at all these players and just seeing what exactly we're going to be expecting of this tournament, especially going into the top 10, as we still have many players to go through. But let's kick it up a notch, shall we? We have Seed 13. We're going to be starting to go through some real good names now. We got Anthony2308 coming into the fray. Seed 9 on both O and Anai Sakai. Really good rice scores all around, and holy damn, this is a really well-balanced player overall. No scores are under... Every score is literally under seed 20 in terms of seeding. So this is a very well-balanced player that we're talking about right here on our very hands. And this is basically going to be what I think we're going to be expecting for the early game. I definitely would imagine this is going to be quite the monster to face over in Radifers here and beyond, as this is literally only just the start of the madness we're about to see.
Yeah, 13th seed, and we already have this. This is an Act clan player, by the way, and we know Act as a rising, somewhat newly formed clan, but they have a lot of top players, especially from South Korea. However, Anthony is from Thailand, if I remember correctly. But this is a very good impression for the top echelon of qualifying players. But continuing on, the Giants, we have the 12th seed, Almireta. I believe this is Regus. Finally!
It is.
Finally.
Yes. I just pinged you for that, mate. I literally just pinged you for that, bro.
Oh, the niche skill sets are all here shining.
You can literally see that Phantom Dancer score. Number 2 and number 3 on Reviver alongside number 4 on O. This is a literal beast in the early game, and we literally all know that from the multitude of turns this guy is playing it. This guy literally managed to at least try and scrape at least to getting close to the top over in 40M's lost iteration as well, alongside the fact that they played in many other turns since then as well. I mean, we got the Malaysian Nationals, we got Suji Cup as well, Soundwave Mania probably, I don't know. But like, the fact that we got some consistent scores all around, ignoring Fragmented Reality right there, C30 on this is kind of funny, is just real strong. Real strong performances that we got all around here, once again, as expected. And yeah, it seems like from here on out, we're still going to keep going on the gas pedal with these players that are going to be quite insane for the top 10, as it's going to be quite a bit scattered going into seed 11. Our 11th seeded player is going to be none other than Miniac, who has literally been in every single turn at this point. This guy has been everywhere. You can never escape him.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know Miniac choked on at least 2 maps of qualifiers. I know O has been choked on. And Inai Sekai definitely does not look like a characteristic score from Miniac. This guy is like the beast of everything possible, especially LNs and hybrids. Definitely a beast in noodles. Look at those LN scores. I expected nothing less, but Fragmented Reality at seed 8, that is abnormal. A lot of anomalous scores. This qualifier's lineup is just full of anomalies, and certainly these pop-offs and chokes are one way to make the results much more interesting. But there are 10 more people. The top 10, the most special of specials, and I hope you guys are ready, because none of these players are going to back down without a fight.
Absolutely. Moving on to seed 10, we got more players on the board. Fairly recognized. Everyone knows this guy in the Asian sphere. It's J-Lie, bro. You got scores all around, very balanced, ignoring O by Citrus. We literally have Seed 4 on the Ellen density stage, as kind of expected. This guy is a literal beast when it comes to Ellen maps as well. Similarly to Miniac, however, it seems a little more balanced when it comes to at least being able to manage some of the Rice maps as well, alongside the Hyperpix as well. So very well-rounded player. Everyone and their moms in Malaysia literally know who J-Light is. He's been around the block in most of the most prestigious tournaments here and there, and he's here once again to kind of raid the likes of Cat Young Cup to see whether he can take the top. However, there are still 9 players that are somewhere above him in this qualifiers. Moving on to seed number 9 is yet another strong LN player, finally, Unitori, as we can see. Seed 4 and on Phantom Dancer.
Well. As a side note, you will see a lot of stage 1 chokes from now on. As I said, there's a phenomenon where top players warmed up too much and lose their finger control. I know it because it happened to me more than once. And as you can see, it's just stage 1 that really dropped their seed way more than needed. But everything else is fairly all-rounded. The biggest highlight, of course, Phantom Dancer and Summertime Memory are pretty LN-oriented picks. Definitely representative of an MWC great LN player, and I definitely have seen them a lot in the Philippines Nationals as well. Very solid performance.
Absolutely, as we got more players on the board still. Seed number 8, moving on. We've got Yellow and okay. What? All right. How are they this low? I was expecting that Yellow was probably gonna like absolutely destroy stage 1, but okay. I guess that Hybrids and LNs make a little more sense since I know for a fact that they kind of struggle with those a little more than Rise does. But this guy is literally needs no introduction when it comes to Rise. This guy has been an absolute gauntlet in Rise throughout multiple turns in recent months. Think about it. Third Impact, Abstraction Cup. This guy literally knows how to destroy any Rice map that comes their way. Literally, this guy just Hulk smashes like any Rice map you give him, and they'll literally play maps that are basically the hardest thing ever, and he's gonna somehow still find ways to destroy it. So, going into RO64, I'd imagine this guy is gonna be quite the beast to even try and tame over in the early game, whereas I think this is definitely one of those players that kind of does detonate the more you go into the turn, where as long as things get a little more difficult in the Rice category, this guy will destroy it. So watch out for that. Just watch out for that, no matter what.
Scary. And our next giant at seed 7 shall be Vayne. As always, the upper echelon will feature a lot of banger scores. However, surprisingly, we do not have a stage 1 curse this time. Finally, a high score on O, 996, placing at top 3. Similarly, that's the Ryumi also has a 996, but it's a high 996 with 852 scores more. The other stages worth highlighting are Summertime Memory and J14. Everything else might just be a bit of an accuracy issue, but I think these skill sets will be more than enough to really smash the players who are a bit too weak in nerves to uphold a top score in tech-heavy maps like O.
Yep. This guy is fairly well balanced when it comes to a lot of these stages. I mean, especially on O and when I'm effed up, this guy is absolutely explosive on these kinds of maps, I would at least be led to assume, especially for being one of the few upcoming players over in the Chinese sphere where you just have so many insane players here and there. I remember this guy literally teamed up with FOMO in Abstraction Cup, and this guy literally dominated so hard across the scene. They literally took Nadanami almost to a tiebreaker in the early mid game. So definitely watch out for this player, as we got a fairly recognizable player over in seed 6 here somehow. You were literally questioning how you somehow got it while you were rusty, but seed 6 for this turn is going to be none other than Angela. 202, 133. Oh.
the curse continues. And it also
The
blinks
curse.
to Reviver as well. These are very, very consistent scores. We have seventh on the Rice maps, then 5th in Fragmented Reality, a 6th in Summertime Memory, and then an 8th in J1407B. There's also a 7 in Phantom Dancer. Yes, I'm trying my best to avoid the legendary number. But anyways, these are very, very consistent performances. It's just that Reviver and these two maps that they probably choked on so badly. I mean, it has happened to more than one player, so better luck next time. But at least this is definitely not a weak performance at all. True skill always shine through.
Absolutely. So yeah, moving on. Don't really have anything else to say about this player. We have another player at seed number 5. You literally know who this is. I do not even need to explain, bro. How is this guy seed 5? What even is that Isekai score? How do you get seed 20 in this? What?
I don't know, complain about stage 3 being off-putting. So maybe he really did not like the map. I think he's just a very, very prominent player. Despite coming from a somewhat new generation of players, he has been growing as both a player and a mapper. Definitely using his mapping knowledge to the best to dissect the patterns and bring home his top 5. Very, very solid, especially in this competitive environment. Very tough scores.
Yep, it's messed up how this guy is somehow this low, but this doesn't seem like they had the brightest of days with this map overall. And we are pretty much narrowing it down to the final 4 players that have qualified for this very tournament. So seed number 4 for this tournament gonna be yet another Asian player. We know who it is. It's Matcha Latte, and destroying the Ellens once again. Very balanced scores all around. It's just the outlier being when I'm effed up. Your husband's qualifier map for this very map pool, dude.
So unfortunately, he is not shining on the gay map after all. On top of that, Summertime Memory at 11th is also an outlier. However, everything else sitting idly at 5, then 4 for Inaisekai and 3 for Fragmented Reality. Definitely a player to watch out in late game. Do not encounter this guy in semifinals onwards. You are going to be crushed.
Absolutely, but that does it for all I gotta say about this player. Everyone knows who it is. It's literally Matcha Latte. This guy has managed to win MWC back in 2024 in 3rd place. So we may as well continue on. Another strong player that we got on board, and the final British player that we have on here as well.
I'm so sorry.
What happened on... Oh my god.
That thing was...
Dude,
I'm so
the
sorry.
curse continues.
I'm so sorry.
The curse continues, dude. What the hell? They literally got so many number 1s, especially on Ellen. This is probably the strongest Ellen player we got in this turn, or perhaps being able to seed number 1 on these LNs. This is going to open for some pretty gnarly competition, maybe in the late game when it comes to finding their match potentially, or meeting their maker, as pretty much everything else outside of and Reviver is pretty much free real estate for them. This guy's going to be an absolute menace over in the early game. It's literally Newson, bro. You know who he is. He's literally like one of the strongest players over in the UK, and he's finally found his footing again. He's gone out the rust from FFR, and he's literally back. He's got his head in the game again. That's how you know things are going to be so messy with this player when you encounter him in this tournament. It's so insane.
The climb will be hard in early and mid game. You absolutely cannot survive if you encounter Newson in the first 4 rounds or so. Just maybe pray that he chokes, because our custom map lineup may feature much more awkward maps from now on.
But
Well. I wonder who misses just by a bit from the top placement. Our C2 player will be SDKL4, an LS representative on top. Contrary to New Sun, this is a very even distribution overall. We have scores ranging from 2 to 11 in placing, absolutely chaotic, but also this may prove that they are ready for everything in the map pools.
Wait, I got so confused for a second. Is this actually sign up Redditor? There's no way. Oh no. Bro, we literally have quite an insane player. I did not even recognize who this was at first, but if this actually is signed in, holy damn. Wow. Okay, this is some insane scores, with the only outlier being 11. That's how you know we've gone this far. Okay, it turns out it's not signed. Okay. SDKL, congratulations on C2.
Yes, congratulations for C2. However, the grand review, but I think we all know who Seed 1 is.
Oh my god, this guy's gonna have an absolute field day right now. Seed number 1, roll the red carpet. It's gonna be none other than...
Congratulations! 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 Yes! Look at that Rice performance! Oh,
what even happened on Rice, dude? Rev!
It's only Phantom Dancer, an extremely tricky map as always. I know Ellens are definitely not his forte, but this skill set is definitely enough to survive the early game. I don't care anymore. And being able to play J14 and getting C2, that is also an indicator of an absolute all-roundedness. And look at the hybrids. Definitely not falling short in terms of hybrid performance as well. But if you notice, Seed 1 in Reviver is 992. Did you realize how disgusting that map must be if Seed 1 has such a low score? Think about it. Let it sink.
Exactly. Like, the map itself, like, this qualifier map pool overall is just very challenging because of how it's kind of meant to replicate that of the extreme picks that we got. Oh, wait. Actually, no, wait. I think it is mentioned on forum posts. Okay, never mind. I was about to pee myself, thinking I accidentally leaked something, but okay, hopefully I didn't. Anyways, yeah. Overall, look at how far you've come, man. Freaking Manuel, you've done it. You've gone Seed 1 in this tournament. Now you are gonna have to face the likes of Kaya in the RO64, so... But that's gonna be it for our qualifier, our seeding reveal. We've pretty much showcased everyone that will be qualifying and everyone that will be not playing, unfortunately, because they didn't get to qualify.
However, I hope you may stick around as an audience because we have a lot of surprises cooking up. Both the story, the map pools, and just general player streams. The matches are always hyped to watch, surely.
Indeed.
We still have one more category of the stream to finish, and we just reached 16 UTC. It's 11 p.m. right now. I have commentated for 2 hours straight, and I have not drank a single drop of water. So
Bro, same.
I'll be right back soon for the Mappool showcase.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very thirsty as well, but that does it for our seeding results, as we will be having a bit of an intermission for all of those that are still watching before we go into our very RO64 Mappool showcase to see what everyone will be facing on, because boy, do we have some stuff to showcase and all when it comes to the maps. So once again, this has been Epic Man 2 joined by Lot. We'll catch you in a few minutes for our Mappool showcase.
test results already? Let's see. Hello, Poppy. After careful consideration, you have successfully passed the 8 mini tests and can move on to our first quest. I got in! So, where's the first quest? Oh, there's a path towards a quest room apparently. The sun, it's so bright. I'm not the only player, huh? I wonder if they all also got their memories removed. I guess I'll just continue walking. Yes, you have air conditioning here. Let's see. It wants me to put my identity code 202. Done. It's processing. Oh.
Welcome 202 or Poppy. I think it would be more respectful to call you Poppy. First of all, congratulations on qualifying to be eligible to the quest phase. Once again, you have a total of 6 quests to complete in the next 6 weeks. Now, since this is your first time, I will give you more information. Each quest acts like a puzzle. You will be given some clues or hints that guide you to the solution. They may be hinting at certain locations to find information or extra clues. Each solution will be a singular lowercase English letter. You are expected to mark down each letter yourself and submit all letters at once at the correct order at the end of the last quest. This is your final answer for all the quests. Moreover, there will be 2 extra hidden quests with their clues hidden. So the final answer should be having a total of 8 letters. Flip over this paper. You will be given the clue of the first quest. Good luck, Poppy.
This is interesting. I wonder if it's a person who wrote this. But I'll try my best.
"30 minutes of casual delay in the seeding results. I hope everyone is satisfied with what they have done. I just want to say you guys have done an exceptional job at doing every stage you have. I have been more than surprised in just how well you guys have done. But the seeding results is over. If you guys didn't notice, in the main server, the ones who are qualified are given a yellow player qualified row. So if you guys have that, that means you have qualified. If you have missed it, don't worry, just check if your row is yellow. If your name color is yellow, that means you have qualified. If not, unfortunately, you're not qualified. But that out of the way, I don't want to have to introduce something if you happen to didn't see what was going on in the episode, because something's important that's going to happen in this tournament itself. You may ask, this tournament is just a simple 1v1 first to something points. It's very vanilla, but what's the catch? So I and Rhythm Boy have prepared a set of quests for people to try to solve. And this is not just for the story, and this is a game that everyone, and I mean everyone, not just players, can actually play. So we have hidden a number of clues throughout this entire, just anywhere in this tournament, really. So you have to find some clues to figure out what the solution, a lower English letter, would be. So, gonna be an exciting time, something that I've pre-planned for quite a while now, and you know, I hope it's gonna be fun, and it's gonna be very difficult as well as we get to the later rounds as well. So, not gonna give any more hints to that, but other than that, I do want to give my credits once again as well. This is our episode 2 of the visual novel. We do feature a lot more background scene in this one. That quest room, that grass field as well, was drawn by Valeria. As well as, of course, the animator Bueno. He's just a goat, like, he made everything. But also, the one next to me who's commentating, Milky, she drew the notes with that text as well. So speaking of which, Milky, do you want to say hi?
Hello everyone! Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, so with that out of the way, so of course, after the seeding results, we are gonna be featuring our round of 64 Mappool showcase. The top 64 players have qualified. So these 64 players, you guys have to play the next Mappool. I will say though, this Mappool is like much easier. Don't worry, it's like way easier than stage 1 even on the qualifiers. So I would say you guys don't have to worry too much. And of course, a little bit of introduction. My name is Poppy. I'm your host. I'm not the character. There's still one SP after all. But Milky's next to me. She has not seen the Mappool, so she's just gonna like, I don't know.
Yeah, sight reading the Mappool right now.
Yeah, so it's like, it's gonna be an interesting time. She's gonna follow my flow, and then, yeah. But Mappool is like this: 5 rice, 2 hybrids, 3 LNs, and we will have to introduce our EX specs, which I'll get into later, and then the tiebreaker, of course. Players have to get to first to 5 points to be able to win, and if they both reach their match points, aka 4-4, the tiebreaker will be forced to play. And so, out of the way, should we start with Rice 1?
Yeah, let's go.
Rice 1 is a custom map from a mapper that basically everyone knows, really. Yu Yesta. He did agree to come in to and help out on mapping, so he's going to be mapping the very first bracket Mappool round, I guess.
It seems simple at first. I'm pretty sure it's gonna get harder and harder as the map goes on. Mm-hmm.
Basically, this map features a speed pattern, so basically it's gonna be like single streams over. Of course, it's like an intro. This map is quite long, I would say, at 3 minutes, so like, but we're just gonna be transitioning into like more speedy sections now.
Oh, there you go. We're getting faster.
Yeah.
I didn't think that it would be like this long, 3 minutes for Rice 1.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a longer side of things when it comes to Rice 1, stuff like this, but here we go. These kind of speed patterns is what I was anticipating.
It shouldn't be that much of a problem for players, I think, since it's only like simple speeds.
Yeah, it's just whether or not you're comfortable with that like BPM, and yeah. There's like a lot of breaks in the middle though, so it's, I guess like the kind of 3-minute nature is like a little bit less felt because of how many breaks there are. But even these like breaks, you have to be careful with how you try to hit notes, because some of these like weird snappings you just have to be focused on hitting. This is like a very I would say like more straightforward pick when it's only speed patterns, but like you have to just be so you can see like some of these mini jacks in the middle. It's like more or less the finger control part of things that players have to have, so it's like more difficult.
You really have to keep an eye on like each note, since this is 3 minutes long. You really have to focus on it.
Yeah, especially when like this final section does get a little bit more intense. That breaks do kind of drop out. They don't really exist now at the ending. It's very straightforward, but it's also scary because of the mini jacks in the middle.
There were some anchors in there too.
Yeah. It's kind of like you have to have that control going.
Mhm.
Rice 1. This is a song that I think like it's like a very OG song kind of thing, Light from San Holo. This Mappool, I wanted to point out, this Mappool has a lot of songs that I really enjoyed, and it's like very like memorable to like every map is basically like, except for one that I'll talk about. But yeah, that does conclude stage 1. Thank you East for mapping this. It's a very clean speed pick, I would say, but we can move on to Rice 2, which is like the opposite of very clean map. So we're already gonna end the
It's too short though.
entering a Rhino custom. You can comment on this, jump stream. There's like a very awkward way of mapping in this entire map, so.
I'm pretty sure with this kind of song as well, with the patterns going, I feel like it's gonna get even more intense as it goes on.
Yeah. And he's like little 1-6 rows. We had to like kind of nerf them because they were like even more weirder, but now it's like just simple rows. Yeah.
I just realized Forkin is doing this replay right now.
Yeah. Oh, about the replay Forkin, he also played this one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
But you can tell like this map does feature a lot more awkward 1/4 drum stream, like 1/4 double notes instead of like simple every beat is double kind of notes. So it's a more like finger control heavy for a drum stream pick, but it's fairly simple in a way, I guess, but it's also not very friendly for people who wants to just hit a very regular drum stream pick, because the double usage in this map is like a little bit more different compared to generic drum stream picks.
It's very awkward. The speed pattern transitions in between. You can definitely like throw off some players.
Yeah, you know, like there's a few of these like split shows, I guess, kind of things. It makes the map a little bit more tough to control.
It's like very relentless considering that it's a DJ Sharpnel song. It's very common for it to be like a jump stream map.
Yeah, you can notice. You can notice like DJ Sharpnel are always like jump stream things. It's very rare that it's something else. But yeah. Okay, just like some of these rows are like out of the jump stream category, but it's just one row though. It's like fairly more simple. It's not like very relevant in this map, I would say. But the main dish of this map is still the occasional weird 1/4 doubles that do appear.
Honestly, I feel like a lot of players could get like really nervous playing this map as well.
Yeah, that is true. You can see like this ending. It doesn't even end. Like you think it's the ending, but there's more jump stream at the ending.
Oh god, just to end it all. We just jump stream.
Yeah, just to make sure you are.
Yeah.
You're
Locked
tired.
in. Is there
Yeah,
really a test
it's
of
kind of like
stamina?
this. Yeah, stamina. Very important for jump stream, especially in the early game side.
Mhm.
Or more like late game, we will try to like differentiate between jump stream non-stamina and then like actual stamina. But we're in round of 64. We don't have that many maps for this many jump stream picks. So
Yeah,
Rise
so
2
round
and
64.
yeah, 99AK is pretty
Yeah,
nuts for this
yeah.
one. Entangle Knight, map by Rhino. This map can be a
Rhino.
very weird jump stream pick, but gonna be our second custom here. Rise 3 is also gonna be a custom. We have quite a lot of custom maps this round actually. So
Ooh.
Rise 3 is a very straightforward pick. It's the core jack pick, but when it's early game, we kind of made it more speed jackets instead of actually core jack. So it's still mostly core jack, but it's not like the normal core jack that you would see in tournaments. So early game, Surround 64, Rise 3 gonna be a map by my angel Chen.
It's Chen!
Yes, it is.
Yay!
Featuring this song, I think this is a very classic Vocaloid song.
That's a great cycle song.
Yeah.
Speaks on.
It's gonna come in with 136 BPM jump jack. Don't mind the thing at the bottom left. It's still broken. I don't know why it's broken, but it's 136.
Man, the BPM is just crazy.
You think about I think it's like the float integer era thing, but I'm not getting into it. You can tell, okay, you can tell this map consists of more clump of jacks together, but this section, Ki section, is going to be more about the anchory jacks that we will see. This is like, it's very simple though when it's not the Ki, it's more like have to transition through some of these small anchors here and there, but that's about it.
These are really fun jacks as well. Like the thing is, like the 2 and 3 jacks on the center like are so awkward.
That anchor as well. Sometimes like there's some anchors that just pop in and just kind of give that difficulty amplifying up. This map is like the main kind of dish of this map is just 3 no anchors basically.
Ooh.
And like this, yeah, this one section as well. It's like very weird.
Can also trip out some players at that point.
Yeah, it's kind of how jack picks do go though. You kind of make like shapes in the middle of these patterns, try to build off of it.
For me, I think it's just simple for just a round of 64. It fits.
Yeah, it's a more like straightforward 4.4 star, but I have to mention the OD being 9 is very scary.
Yeah. I didn't even realize.
Yeah, so for like a high OD map, getting ratio in this map might be a little bit harder, but it is jack after all, so like
Yeah.
have to be able to act perfectly, basically. But if you have nothing to add on, we are gonna move on to stage, not stage, oops, Rise 4. Rise 4 is also a custom from a mapper that has also mapped for qualifiers. The Rise 4,
Ooh.
is a complete different category that I guess the closest that you have in qualifiers is stage 6, but it's not really stage 6. Because this map features pure dumps and with very weird, awkward snapping. But it's very, very interesting and fun. So, let's welcome the mapper once again, Satori Maiden, for mapping. This is a crazy map at 3.9 stars. Actually, it says 4.0, but it's actually 3.9. But yeah.
Well, it's gonna be like a quick map. It's only 2 minutes.
Yes, this map is also relatively shorter compared to the previous 3 picks we saw, being all of them almost 3 minutes, if not longer.
Another peak song. It's gonna be really fun to play.
You can already tell, like, these kind of awkward streams that would pop
Oh
up,
yeah, I just realized.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so stupid. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Like, I can try to like hear the song, and then that like long jack is something that's so interesting. Satori told me it's a gradual decreasing anchor. I don't even know what it's called, but it's a long jack that's like slower and slower over time.
It's gonna be like really annoying to like read. Yeah, because like what you said is slow, and from like what I can see, it's very like technical. Looking from those like Chilsing graces.
Yeah, he's kind of trilly and transitioning with some of these long jacks as well. It's like making the map more awkward to play with. Even though it's actually, when I play this, it's more smooth than you thought, but it's still very easy to mess up if you misread some of the patterns, which is very possible.
Yeah, people are going to have a hard time trying to act both like the LNs and the flams at the same time.
Like, these are like weird dumps. It's just a very big test of finger control.
Maybe like the final push of the song.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this song is one of those songs where it just like fades out for no reason. But the map is gonna end like this. This is a very interesting song regardless. Promise. I think like some of you might actually like recognize what this song is. There's a lot of like remixes that make this map like more hardcore kind of song. But this one's like the original, you know?
Mm.
But with that out of the way, Promise from Satori Maiden is our dumb pick, a very low SR for no reason pick, and that's gonna be it for Rice for. Oh, sorry.
It's like it's also odd because like the over difficulty is on 7.8.
Yeah, like we
like,
know it's already like weird to act, so we lower the OD.
What was it originally?
It was like 8 point something, and we were like, no,
Oh my
there's no way
God.
it's 8 point
No
something.
way.
I told Satori like, no, we are not making this OD 8 point. I think it was 5. That's not it, but yeah. But that concludes Rise 4. Rise 5 gonna be our, not a custom unfortunately, but it's gonna be our technical side of saying things. So let's take a look at Rise 5. Let the streamer change, and this is I don't know if you guys might recognize this, but this one is a very streamy, bursty tech map. So let's take a look. A more Toho type song, and at 1.05, Magician Higan Tour. This is gonna have a lot of breaks, but when it's not breaks, it's a bunch of bursts.
Oh, that's.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, those bursts. Oh no.
Yeah, we jump into these like streamy, speedy, fast bursts over and over again, guys.
That's gonna be so annoying.
look at a lot of these streams over and over again. You have to be focused. Okay, now I hit the burst, now I don't hit the burst, and then now I have to hit this. But again, a lot of breaks for you to work with. But
As long as you hit those bursts, you're just good for the rest of the map, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, but the question is, can you consistently hit every single one of them?
It's just a matter of who hits it better.
Yeah. It's like a little bit of a break part, but you're gonna go in back to a more Jackie side pattern, but then we're gonna transition back to Jacks. Like, look at that, like
that is dirty. For round of 64.
Yeah, round of 64. I mean, this tournament has difficulty of Mania World Cup +1, so this is like round of 32 difficulty. He probably doesn't know what this means, but
Yeah, I don't. I'm a Taiko player.
it's okay. It's okay. But it's not easy, even if it's quote-unquote early game. It's easier than the qualifier, so that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really short map as well, so it's only like 154.
Short map is like a double-edged sword. You do have like less chances of missing, but when you do miss, it's quite punishing. So, but Rise 5 is gone. Deep Dives map, this is in THMC, I actually don't remember it, but nonetheless, it's on 1.05. 252 BPM streams, kind of. Not the easiest to hit, if you ask me, but if you have the finger control, or you can hack it pretty well, but that is it for the Rise pool. We are gonna move on to the hybrid side of things, which at first it's gonna feature a very calm and very nice Arcor song, but it's mapped by Rhino again, so it's not gonna be calm at all. As we enter more on the LN side of things, hybrid 1 is going to feature a very generic streamy hybrid type of things. So basically, there's a lot of streams going on. You can see some of these jump stream or hand stream patterns, followed by some 1-6 bursts. But mostly it's these LN dumps that makes this map a little bit more awkward to play.
This is Rise 5, right? Wait, what is this?
No, this is hybrid 1.
Oh, hybrid. Oh, like, why is there LNs in my Rise?
No, we will not have LNs in your Rise, don't worry.
I was so confused.
Rise 5 was the Toho song, and then... Oh wait, why did you made the replay, by the way? That's crazy.
Wait, I made it! Oh my god, I didn't even remember, guys. I'm sorry, I have like amnesia.
Oh, no, it's actually not Yuki that played this. It was Bueno, but like, okay, this key eye section I have to talk about. Like, it's transitioning between 1-6 LN burst and jump stream with LNs, of course.
It's more heavy on LN, in my opinion. Oh, never mind. You get more eyes. Right when I said that.
No, this is like a more transitioning right section. I would agree that this map is very LN heavy. I feel like nowadays in hybrid maps, people are pushing more towards the right side and just make short LNs and tell them, yeah, because there's short LNs, it's hybrid now. But I feel like we need to have hybrid ones with LNs that are more felt instead of generic, like actually short LNs.
Balance, you know.
Yeah. So there's a lot of these like dumpy, weird LN coordination aspect in a lot of these like, jump stream patterns, which does make them a little bit more awkward. And if you didn't notice, 4,000 combo in round 64 is a little bit scary, but
I mean, it is long, so I think that's why as well, and also because of the long notes.
that's true. But it's mainly because like even on the break parts, there's a lot of LN DOMs that does bump up the combo quite a bit, which doesn't mean your stamina aspect does play up here.
There's also 4.8 as well, which I'm surprised about. I mean, honestly, I'm not surprised looking at these patterns.
Yeah. I mean, you have to know that star rating is kind of stupid in Mappool, so like, it's kind of just like a reference. But yeah. This is I remember a custom song back in 7-key Mania World Cup. Either this year or last year. I think it's this year, 2026. It's a very, very good song from AR Forest. I think more hardcore style. Yeah, it's very chill. It's very nice to hear. Rhino's map. This map's not the cleanest map. It's very awkward, but it plays out very interestingly in a way that you have to be so focused on the LN side of things in this map. And why am I talking about the song choice? Because Hybrid 2 is like a complete 180 change of song choice. I think I said this in stage 5 to stage 6 as well. Yes, the genre wise.
Oh, okay, I'm excited.
So not stage. Why do I keep saying stage? Oh my god. Hybrid 2 is not a custom, but is from a mapper that we are. Oh.
What is his name? The replayer name.
Lot is making things out with the replay. Don't worry. But Hybrid 2 is in early game. I initially wanted Hybrid 2 to be just plain Jax, like what we normally saw in like stage 2 in qualifiers, for example. But on second thought, I'm like, it's missing something. So let's add tech as well other than Jax. You see what they mean by tech? It's like transitioning between shields or Jack LNs and Grace patterns, as you can see. These bursts are just...
Yeah, along with like the short LNs, it's dirty. Really testing out your release as well.
Yeah, it's like finger control and shield control. It's both these two kind of mixed up, which makes the map a little bit more awkward to hit, I guess, because when you have hybrid and tech mixed up, it's always not nice to see. It's very easy to just drop act out of nowhere.
Looking at the OD as well.
Oh, you know this? This map was actually like, there was an unedited version where it was OD8.
It was?
Yeah, this map on OD8 is a little bit too eco, so I told Lot just tone it down.
You're so nice to the players. You're so nice.
I mean, this is like, you can say I'm nice to the players, but if I'm pulling this in the first place, well, actually this is pulled by Lot himself, but pulling this in the first place is not that nice. Like, look at these Graces transitioning. Yeah.
It could have been worse, you know? It could have been worse.
It is on 1.1 as well to make things a little bit more funny. This is a 145.2 BPM. More shieldy, techy thing. It is a relatively short map. Yes, 2 minutes. So, Hybrid 2 is done. This song is just weird to me. I'm sorry. If you like the song, then you do you. I don't. But
I mean, you go.
Yeah.
Get your opinion out there.
Yeah, I am a very honest person. I just say things I want to say. But, I don't know what Lot's replay name is just okay.
I can't say that on stream.
It's too long to say on stream anyway, so I'm gonna ignore that part. But that does conclude our hybrid side of things. You don't have to put your cursor about there, man. You can. Alright. With that out of the way, we are going to be moving on to LN1. LN1 going to be starting to have a more long note focus picks now. This is not a custom, but You might recognize this map back in GBC Autumn in 2025. A more Chinese side mapping. This is a very good song as well, Minimum.
It's a cute song.
It is a very cute song, right? I already know this song like 2 years ago, and seeing this map really made me happy. I really like this map as well, so yeah.
Oh, there's a bar. Okay, what are those notes?
These are LNs, long notes. LN1 is always the most. I always call LN1 to be the most LNE, LN, you know what I mean? Because
the most Ellen of the Ellens.
yeah, because it's the coordination thing where you have to focus releasing very hard, and you can tell like every like double or like note has like a unique release point almost.
I can like imagine like a lot of people like banning this pick.
Yeah, usually like the rice mains don't like LN1, so they just ban LN1. If you compare like LN1 to the other LNs, for example, LN2 is density jump stream, which it's more straightforward because it's jump stream, so like you don't focus on release as much, but rather like the stream aspect of LNs. LN3 is situational, some LN3 may be more simple to them, some of them may not, but some LN3s might be a more release factor. But well, we have to say soon whether or not LN3 is actually very release heavy or the other way around. But back to this map, more jags in some of these streams as well. It's not like very long streams, but it's just little stream bursts.
Oh. This part trips me off.
To be honest, like, every part can trip people off because of how many continuous weird LN releases you have to do.
You really have to focus on the releases for this one.
Yeah.
I pray for everyone's accuracy on this.
Yeah, generally LN1's accuracy is like lower compared to like, let's say hybrid maps or rice maps even. Much lower. And even when you compare to other LN picks like LN2 and LN3, usually LN1 has lower scores on average. But with that said, this replayer, it doesn't care. He almost got an 8K, thank you. Yeah. Oh my god.
It's better.
But LN1. Before I go into LN2, LN2 is also a song that especially me, myself, really enjoy. For one, it's a good song. For second, it's also from a movie that I watched that I really enjoyed. I think some of you guys might already know what it is. But this next map is going to be our density pick. If you're my friend, you will know what I'm talking about. But LN2 is going to be a density pick map by myself.
Oh.
And
oh.
Yeah. I have to put this out of the way. So density pick gonna be, like I said, a much simpler compared to LN1. No more weird releases, but there's still releases in this map, of course. And more, I would say, streamy density.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. This song is cut. This song is originally like 4 minutes long. I'm not making a 4-minute map in RO64, but it's still relatively long for a density pick though. 253 is still relatively long, I would say.
You can see the combo right there as well.
Yeah, 3.8k. It's similar length to Seisen, but Seisen's like a little bit longer. That's why Seisen's like a little bit more combo, and this one's a little bit under 4k. But we're gonna be entering our drop. This is where the density does ramp up quite a bit.
This is gonna be really hard to hit.
Yeah, even when you like, this is a quote-unquote density, but there's still a lot of LN releases that you have to consider. I mean, it's LN, you have to release anyway, but...
Yeah. Typical LNs. This is why I banned them.
True. True. I mean, yeah, if you're like more comfortable at Rise, LMFs tend to be more weird to you, and yet here I am mapping LNC more.
Ellen map. Wow.
Yeah, you have to kind of face it though. Like in tournaments, LNs do be like this, and this game section is like kind of out of density. There's a lot of 1-6 patterning in this, and that 1-6 speed pattern as well. That one thing is like the most out of place thing for this density, which is, I would say, it's an interesting touch because it's early game. I don't want to put too plain densities though.
We just imagine like round of 32 is gonna be like a huge jump or something. Hope
Yeah.
not.
Also, oh yeah, there's a fun part. The background is actually my profile picture. I forgot to mention.
Wow. Well, least obvious self-insert.
I mean what? I mean, look at this map. This final section is also very dense. It's a little bit denser, I would say. Some of the elements are more tighter. But a relatively longer density thing. So I'm not too like, I didn't go too evil in patterning, so a lot of the patterns are more cut stream kind of things. There's a lot of break, jag parts in between that made this map a little bit more manageable. And of course it's replayed by Iroha, if you know, you know. But it's still replayed by who got a crazy accuracy score again. But that's L1 too. LN2 is gonna be Melt CPK Remix. Wow. Crazy Cosmic Princess Kaguya I mentioned. But other than that, that's gonna be it for my own custom. The next one is LN3. LN3 can kind of give PTSD to some players if you have played in 4-Digit Mania World Cup. But not a custom, it's gonna be a heavily nerfed version of a certain map that you may know. And it's also featured in Goa Nova Cup, the Indonesian map tournament, basically. But this one's like a very heavily nerfed version of the original Vanguard 2 in 4DM. So now it's only 4.5 stars. So the release, or like the dense element factor, is much reduced. But the polyrhythm is still here.
This is nerfed?
Yes.
I'm scared. What?
Yeah, it's more like a mix of density and release, because you can tell like the elements are very like more close together, so it's more like a density vibe. But because it's polyrhythm, you have to release very well still.
Oh, this is so trippy. Isn't LN3 like a combination of LN1 and LN2?
In some cases, yes. LN3 is what we call a wildcard pick. Wildcard is like just anything that's not LN1, LN2. It's like a more free pick. It's like mapper, you can go crazy on this map, but just don't make very simple patterns. And in fact, this is not simple at all.
No, simple. This is so simple. I can literally do this. Totally.
Totally. Like, the control you have to do in this map is actually insane compared to, say, LN1 and 2. So if you're a Rise player, you have two choices. You can ban LN1 or you can ban LN3. This ending, it looks so innocent, but because of polyrhythms, it's so impossible.
It's not. I can just imagine hitting it, trying to be on B and releasing on B.
Yeah, I was showing us that BPM is optional. So yeah. So I said PTSD does come up. This song is, again, 4DM people would get PTSD, but again, it's much easier, and I mean much easier than the 4DM version. Don't worry. So, Vanguard 2 map by, I think this is a lot and high text map. It was nerfed. It was an edit as well for Golavona, but yeah, that does conclude L3. L3 is the last map of the regular picks. What is regular pick, you may ask? I
Regular?
kind of categorize a map pool into 3 categories. One is the regular pick, so it's Rice, Hybrid, and LN. The next one's EX. EX is EX1 and 2. And then the final one is, of course, the tiebreaker. EX maps tend to be more physical compared to the regular maps that we just saw. So if you think these maps are not hard enough, EX are the ones for you. So EX1 is going to be the Rice map, and EX2 is going to be the LN map. EX1, in EX picks we try to go for mixed, but early game I don't really want to go fully for mixed yet. So we're gonna try to have a different type of pattern in one of the picks that we saw, and as a side note, it's gonna be also generally longer. But for early game, it's less like it's all still like 3 minutes something, but in like later rounds, it will be going towards 4 minutes, which is crazy. But
What?
EX1 gonna feature a mapper that I think everyone, if you're in the tournament scene, would know. He is known for making very unorthodox dumps, and it's a very clean dumps though. It's makes a lot of usage of vocals and jacks and streams together to make a very dumpy Rice pick. So from a very good artist as well, let's take a look at our mapper, Kimui, mapping a Penthouse song.
Ooh.
If you heard about Penthouse, you know their song vocals are very powerful, and that's what Kimui is gonna be trying to map for here.
That's crazy. This is such a vibey song.
Yes, prepare to dance because
Yeah.
these parents are dancing as well, basically.
Yeah, I'm also dancing right now.
Imagine. These kind of like transition-y sections, like get up, get up, get up. Those like jacks, mini jacks, transitioning. It's so interesting. Like it's just a lot of like dumpy patterns mainly in this map, basically, and trill, a trill. Like, you can also tell like it's much denser compared to like the Rice 4 we got, because this map I would say is like the closest to Rice 4, but it's just more like it's less like weird snapping. It's more continuous 1-6 versus 1-4 snapping, but it's definitely denser. You can tell.
More denser. It's gonna be like a kind of looks like a mini tiebreaker.
Yeah, you can kind of think of this as like TB but for Rice only. And EX2 is gonna be LN only.
Oh, that's actually really interesting.
Yeah. These mini jacks are so interesting. Like playing this for me, even though I'm washed, it feels so nice to play. Oh man. You can look at like how less feel breaks this map does include, because the stamina aspect of this map does kind of amplify up when there's not much breaks, even in like the short, slower, broken vocal parts. There's a lot of like focus, these mini jack or transition-y sections that you have to be focused on. Like these mini jacks as well. Very easy to choke if you're not careful. Yeah, Yuki's just saying ooh because these patterns are weird.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say.
You look at these rows. Like, do you think like people can actually be able to hold this consistently?
They're really, some of them are like really awkward, but you know I believe in them. You know, they can do it.
I mean, there are some really crazy players at the top, so like, but this
Yeah,
final section is
definitely.
gonna actually even make it even more denser. So,
Yeah.
Like, you think about how this map is Rise, so like combo in general will be shorter, and yet it's 3.5k combo. It's almost as much combo as my LN2, and it's
Yeah.
also 3 minutes.
It's gonna trip up a lot of people's stamina as well, not to mention.
Yeah. It's a very dense, but it's also very dumpy EX1 that kind of shows the introduction of EX specs being more physical. This first one going to be a very dump oriented EX1. EX2, however, is going to be a more actually mixed LN thing because it actually like tries to transition between streams and coordination. So, gonna be a mapper that you've seen. It's also a custom. Oh yeah, by the way, EX1 is custom, and EX2 is also custom. Gonna be a map by the mapper of stage 4. Let's take a look at Resist's map, Sweet Lemon Tea. This is another song that I really like.
Yeah. Oh, starting off with these patterns.
Yeah, not a very welcoming start if you ask me.
Yeah, it's
already
not.
entering anchors. Yeah. Look at how the starting also bumps up all the way to 5.4 stars as well.
5.4, yeah. I just realized as well.
Yeah. At 175 BPM, this map features a mix of wildcard and density.
Oh, this part is really fun to hit.
There's a lot of structuring involved in this pick that makes a lot of anchors really difficult to hit at times, but we're gonna move on to our first, more speed-ish pick, part, sorry. You have to notice a lot of these bursts in between 1-6, I believe, rows. That makes this map very coordination heavy sometimes, but it's also very streamy.
Can people like ban EX? They can, right?
Oh, yeah,
Or
yeah.
they can't. Okay.
It's completely. I know people like to like, okay, this is EX, it's special, so like obviously we have to let people not ban it, but no. Here we just let you protect and ban anything, except for TB, of course, but
Yeah.
you are allowed to. Yeah. If you're like not comfortable with physical, banning EX1 is a very good choice, and if you're not good at physical LNs, banning EX2 is also a very good choice. But of course, there's protects. Remember, if you protect the map, people cannot ban it. So.
Yep. I feel like,
This song is really, really good though.
yeah, it is. But I feel like more people would end up banning. Okay, what was that?
Yeah, we got a little bit of a jack here there.
It's so bad that I got caught off by a bunch of notes.
Yeah, that one like kind of jacky shooty section right there. They just have to be careful of, yeah. So what are you trying to say though?
I feel like people will be leaning to ban this more than the other elements, probably.
That's true, because it does feature a lot of different like element patterns. I would say a very interesting element pick as well. It's I want EX to be more special compared to like regular picks, and you know, these kind of maps make it more interesting touch. It's not very like tournament style if you ask me, but it's something that I want to show off in map pools that if it's fun enough, it would be a good pick. So
It's time for tiebreaker now.
yes, Sweet Lemon Tea map by Resist's is a very solid map, I would say. One of my favorite songs here. Of course, my favorite song is
Of course.
LN2, of course, but I'm biased. But if you don't count that one, this is probably my favorite song. Sweet Lemon Tea is a very, very good, very underrated artist as well, Red Side. Their hardcore songs are pretty cool. But hardcore is done, TB is going to be hardcore. From a song that people may know if they have been in Osu community for long enough, not just Mania, but just Osu in general. So, TB is gonna be a collab between two mappers. Let's take a look at the map first. It's gonna be between me and Chen.
Oh.
This song you might recognize from 2023 Osu World Cup Grand Finals. I think is it Grand Finals? I think it is. The TV Grand Finals TV. We're gonna be here in a round of 64 TV. A very different round, but different game as well. This is gonna be our tiebreaker. I would say this is more like a generic hybrid 1-ish TV because of the nature of the song, but this first section is gonna be like more techy, I would say.
Oh. I like those jump thrills.
And we're gonna move on to my part now. That intro was Chen. Yeah, look at these like
Wow,
transitioning sections.
the
Is gonna be my
difference.
part. Yes.
Oh, there's like the short lens on those as well.
Yeah, kind of like a gradual Ellen thing. But
Oh my
move on to our
God.
first density part. This is kind of a very generic TD of kind of things, and these like little transitioning patterns look very clean. I'm actually very proud of my own mapping on this part, but we're gonna move on to our first break part, back to Chen's mapping.
You can actually see like the difference between the both of you guys.
Yeah, you can kind of see it. You can kind of actually see it why as well, because me and Chen were like, we mapped like a same section repeated, but it's also like how do I call it? We have different mapping styles on like the same section. Yeah, Jack. This is Chen's work, core Jack. I mean, Chen mapped Rice 3, so might as well make Jack again in here.
Jacks are really fun though. It's gonna be like so annoying to hit. Oh.
And okay, we go back to my mapping. This is a very mini Jack section. Our reference for this map, this was back in like 2024 and 2025, well, round 32 tiebreaker. This part kind of reflects what we saw in 2024 Mania World Cup round 32 tiebreaker when Lemon Guy made 175 BPM Jacks here. This one's like a kind of reference to that, but it's definitely like less weird. Because that map was really weird, but with this little burst, we're gonna go back to Chen mapping the break part. Chen loves mapping break parts, I don't know why.
He's like, okay, let me get this part. This is my part now. He just puts long note.
Yeah, or LN-ish break part here. Then this is still Chen's mapping though. He's gonna map the next Ki as well after this build up.
This is so evil.
Yeah.
What?
A little bit of roll and transition section, and this
What?
part is Chen's absolute craziness of
so-
mapping.
Thank God I'm not playing
These
this
Jacks are
tournament.
mean.
Oh my gosh.
They are just mean, yeah. But after that, it's gonna go back to me here. Kind of difference between me and Chen's mapping is Chen tends to focus a lot more on like big spins for like 1-6 bursts. Well, I just make continuous jump stream me or density-ish patterns into this build up. I kind of made this build up to be like more and more gradually L and heavy, if you can tell.
Oh yeah. That's evil. Oh my god, what?
But like one little show as well, it's like really awkward to hit. And okay, never mind. I actually never mind. I made mini jacks. My bad.
I have this right now on my 60 hertz monitor and not on my 165, and it looks diabolical. So, God bless to the players. 60 hertz monitors playing this.
Hey, I use 60 hertz. Yeah.
Oh my god, how do you guys play like this?
Okay, this is the same part I mapped at the very beginning, but this is mapped by Chen, and you can see a lot different style mapping with those 1/6 Ellen bursts. Like a lot more like those like little roll things in this part, and that Jack is just bro.
Oh my god.
Okay, back to me. And I think I'll map this entire ending. So the rest is just my mapping.
More Ellens.
And okay, this ending is I don't know why I made this ending.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh my god,
Oh,
yes.
this ending. Oh, this ending.
What?
Oh.
The ending!
Oh. Oh, this ending. Oh. Oh.
Wow, you're just like trolling the players at the end at this point.
TV is meant to be the tiebreaker. We gotta break the tie, so this ending is gonna be trying its best to mess players up. Unfortunately, I'm evil. Sorry, not sorry.
I can't wait to see like people on tiebreakers, and I'm definitely gonna watch it.
Yeah, I am interested to see how TV can go out. This is a very interesting TV. Me and Chen collab this. I would say fairly well. I don't know if Chen would try to rank this after the tournament, but yeah, Endverse. This song is a very cool, very cool chart and song. I would say. Wait, no, that's narcissistic. I can't call my own chart cool. Oops.
Not yet.
Not yet. I mean, I would say this map plays out very cleanly, and it's until the ending where it gets a little bit evil, but that's about it. So
A little
TV
bit.
is done. I said little bit, just a little bit, you know, just a
Little bit.
200 BPM speed checks is just a little bit, but yeah, TV is done. Mappool is done. Round of 64 is done. Into this ending, I just want to say this stream has been longer than how I expected by a long shot. It's been 3 hours.
3 hours.
Has there ever been a stream that's 3 hours long? I don't know. But this has been a crazy weekend for both staff and players, I would believe. Once again, players have done an exceptional job at doing qualifiers, and they are rewarded with what they have done. If you have qualified, congratulations. If you have not, don't worry. You always have next time. But that's kind of it. I kind of don't want to delay the stream anymore. It is very late for us, I believe. So
It's 1 a.m.
just again, thanks so much to the artists, Valeria Bueno, from making quests with me, and of course you, Miyukis, for helping out as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No problem.
But yeah. That does conclude our round of 64 Mappool showcase. Anything else to end off with the stream?
I want to say like congrats to the players that qualified, and like good luck to them for this round. And I really like the Mappool and episode as well.
Yeah, very nice touch. We made a lot of effort just to make this episode possible. Again, thanks so much to the people involved in this. And if you want to try the quest out, you can. It's pretty difficult though, I will say. If you can actually do all of them, you're crazy. But more on that later. That out of the way. This is gonna be it for the stream. It's gonna be me, Poppy, signing off as well. So
As well as Milkies.
yeah. So end of stream. We will see you this week. Next weekends.